The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And welcome into a Wednesday edition of Running Point. Obviously, we are not Ron Potesta, but we do have Anthony Hartwig. We got Scotty Two Wheels, and we got Quinn somewhere. He's not in the shot. There you go, Quinn. Thanks. Appreciate you for being in the shot. Welcome into a Wednesday edition of Running Points. Again, Ron running a little late, so it seems, with a doctor's appointment, or so we've been told. So we kind of put this A-team together of misfits so we can put together a show and keep you, the viewer, entertained for the next 30 minutes or whatever it is that till Ron shows up. Hopefully he's got an idea of what he wants to talk about. But the phone lines are open here on the MP Vivo fan line. Of course, MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, one of our great sponsors. Give us a call, 330-886-0813. It's a free-for-all Wednesday. Usually we save that for Fridays, but free-for-all Wednesday. Ant, how are you?
I'm good. How about you, DJ?
I'm wonderful.
Welcome
man.
back. You've been on the road for some time.
Yeah, it's been a wild couple weeks. Don't know what time zone I'm in half the time, and now here we are back in East Palestine, Ohio, aka Stream City, and trying to put the pieces together, just like the YSU baseball team. Man, they have been out. I mean, you look at the record and you think to yourself, okay, not the greatest, but you look at who they play and you go, that's pretty good. And you look at how they've played. And you understand that YSU baseball has turned it completely around over the last 5 years. So exciting stuff happening right here in the Valley. And Dan Bertolini, we talked about it yesterday right here on this show, is a big reason for it. The recruiting, his staff. So exciting stuff. And if you haven't taken notice of what's happening over at YSU, you need to, because the softball team is on fire. Baseball team is on its way back, and they start Horizon League championship or Horizon League play this week. We're trying to work on Richie going to over. They're playing actually an Ohio high school field in Defiance because their field's not ready over in Indiana. So it's going to be interesting. We'll keep you up to date on that. One of the topics yesterday that I saw, I was really interested. Did anybody else see that Francesco Lindor's all of a sudden pissed off about people calling him Frankie?
I did see that yesterday, DJ. And I'm like, well, they've been calling you Frankie for like years now. Like, it seemed like a little late, buddy, to be griping about that.
Sat there and took it,
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Ant, what's your take on this? I mean, when you leave, I think you give up, right? Like, you give up your right to complain about people calling you Frankie.
I feel like there's this need when you leave a team to come up with some kind of beef to explain why you left, no matter how minuscule it is. Oh, they were calling me Frankie, so I wasn't really happy in Cleveland. I just feel like there's that human nature to come up with some beef when you leave a team.
But he didn't leave. He was traded.
He was traded, but he wasn't. I mean, they weren't going to be able to afford the money he wanted,
well,
so they kind of had to trade.
You think that would be the number one thing is they can't afford my talents. They called me Frankie, so they Americanized my name. I mean, I saw it. I think Ron was actually the guy that posted it and brought it to my attention on social media. it's a term of endearment. It's not that you're cutting down his name or his family given name or trying to change who he is. Like, people call you Q, they call you Scotty. Your name's not Scotty, it's Scott, right?
Yeah, that's right. Like, I mean, people, they mean it as like a compliment. You could have fun with names a lot of the time.
Yeah,
doesn't mean you're cutting somebody down.
You got Ant, you know what I mean? Twiggy. Mine's a little bit more difficult because it's only 2 letters. So people, I mean, we get Deej. I get Deej a lot.
Even DJ is just an abbreviation of your legal name.
Correct.
So.
And that's the thing is, I don't think there was any malicious intent for Francesco Lindor and the Cleveland media. And I think, if I had to guess, Tom Hamilton's probably the guy that started it, or at least made it more in the mainstream because he's the play-by-play announcer. So I don't agree necessarily with malicious intent and trying to Americanize his name. It's an endearment. It's a piece of endearment that these guys, the fans loved Frankie. They love Francisco Lindor, and let's be honest, like, very few people with names that long in Francisco are going to be called Francisco for very long.
You think it started because the guy was typing the story and just said, "Man, I'm sick of typing out Francisco. Delete, Frankie."
I really do believe it was probably a Hamilton thing. You know what I mean? And without knowing the full story, I think that's probably where it came from. But, I mean, DJ, Derek Jeter, Dustin Johnson, you look at those ones and Kutch for Andrew McCutchen.
A-Rod never complained about
A-Rod.
Rodriguez to Rod.
You have all these different names that are
Miggy.
Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
So when you look at this, it's a piece of endearment. I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing, and that's where I'm at. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know if this has caught much in the way of headlines or anything, or if it was just something that Ron has had enough of, and he was like, okay, this is my stand. So we'll hopefully he'll give his take on it. But I think it's more of a loving thing. It's not. And Francisco Lindor, after you leave Cleveland, after you're traded out, probably should just stay quiet about it, right? Or reintroduce himself. Hey, my name is Francisco Lindor to the New York media, and I would love to be called Francisco moving forward. If you could not call me Frankie, fantastic. But, to throw out Cleveland right there, I think Tommy Hamilton's probably got a little bit of a barb in his side for that one. So we'll see. We will see. All right, the main host is back here, and we're going to take a break, and we'll turn things back over to Ron right after this on Running Point.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Did everyone miss me? I don't know. I'm glad that I got down here in one piece, though. I had my optometrist appointment that I completely forgot about until a couple of days ago, and then I was like, "Oh shoot, I got to go to the optometrist and get my eyes checked," which I knew that I needed to get my eyes checked because they're all screwed up.
Be careful driving after this because they dilate your pupils with those drops.
He didn't. Oh, okay. He didn't. He checked for glaucoma and he popped that air in your eyes, which
my body has an involuntary response to jump back.
Yeah.
So no matter what, they just can't do that test on me. They do like the alternate glaucoma test.
Gotcha.
I don't remember what it is, but
yeah,
there's just no way that my body lets that machine do it because they're like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, that's good. So yeah, everything is everything.
Remember, I think it was the episode of Friends when Rachel was on that machine.
Oh yeah,
and she kept pulling back.
Yeah,
that's me. So
yeah, no, it was it was pretty cool. He's got some new stuff, which I didn't have to sit in the big chair and put the goofy stuff on your face and push the buttons and slide two. No, he's got new stuff. It was really cool. It was really cool. Now, I was a little late going in there because he was slammed, but at least I was able to get everything taken care of. And the eyes are changed, and I can't see far away as well as I should, and I can't see up close as well as I should. So
you just can't see as well as you
should. And I kind of needed those because I'm going to be umpiring this year.
I was about to say, you probably couldn't say that on the air since you're umpiring.
So
don't give parents the ammo.
So next week, when my lenses come in, I'm going to be perfect 20/20 everywhere. So in 4 weeks from this past Monday, when I'm umpiring my first game, nobody can sit back and say, well, you need your eyes checked. No, actually, these are new lenses. But
you do need glasses, though.
Yeah. You still suck. Well, yeah, that's true. Coming up at 1 o'clock, we will hear from Brian Tolnar. At 2 o'clock, Rob Schmidt will review the season. Penguins fall in overtime to Oakland. Should have won the game in regulation. Props to Oakland's defense.
Triple-double, right?
Yeah, the first triple-double in the history of Youngstown State men's basketball. Naz Bohannon had it last night, so we'll talk a little bit about that. I was listening to the tail end of the conversation before I ran in here,
right.
Which, by the way, I won't say how fast I was going on the way down here, but let me just say that my car can fly. Just going to leave it that. Leave it like that. Yesterday, Francesco Lindor, I don't even know where the hell this came from, but he told Mets reporters prior to his first game at Port St. Lucie, the Cleveland media and some folks up there called me Frankie, and I think that was kind of lazy. I didn't really care for this. But wait a second. Wait a second. You could have said something. Look, I can sit back and say, of all the Latin American kids that I've ever interviewed or
Mr.
that I've
Smile,
ever hung out with, of all the Latin American players in minor league baseball, they don't like their name shortened, by and large. The majority of them don't. If the name is Francisco, he's going to want to go by Francisco. He's not going to want to go by Frankie or whatever the hell you want to call him. Okay, I get that. But it's up to the player to say, hey, guys, not Frankie. My name is Francisco. I'd like to be called Francisco. Can we call me Francisco? Hey, no problem. If he would have just said this, Tom Hamilton and everyone in the Cleveland media would have sat back and said, you know what, cool. You're Francisco. No problem. We'll call you Francisco. Miguel Cabrera, and I think DJ brought the name up, Miggy Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera has no problems with people calling him Miggy. He's like, yeah, you can call me
Until
Miggy
he
if
leaves
you want
Detroit,
to.
and then he'll be like, they were being lazy.
But if Miguel Cabrera didn't want to be called Miggy, and I've known Miguel for 20 years, he'd have sat back and said, listen, I don't want to be called Miggy. That's not my name. My name is Miguel. I want to be called Miguel. So this, I understand in principle, yeah, his name's not Frankie. His name is Francesco, and I always called him Francesco when I interviewed him. And if I would have done his games, I'd have called him Francisco because that's his name. However, this is on Lindor as well. I mean, if you didn't want to be called Frankie, you should have said something and said, look, my name's not Frankie, my name's Francisco. What Lindor is doing right now is he's Kyrie Irving himself out of Cleveland. He's going to be an asshole now. And all of the good things that Lindor did in Cleveland, the bigger an asshole he becomes, the bigger all of this stuff that he accomplished in Cleveland is going to go bye-bye. Now, the difference between Lindor and Irving, Kyrie Irving won a championship. So we can't really hate him that much because, well, he did bring a championship. Lindor, you went to the 2016 World Series and blew a 3-1 lead. You know, whatever. You don't have the cachet Lindor or Irving has because Irving's got a ring and Irving got the city a ring.
Here's an interesting question. I mean, I don't want to draw this conversation out too long because we do have a lot of local basketball.
Absolutely, yes.
But do you think if you compare the way the Indians fans loved Francisco Lindor, do you think they loved Kyrie Irving as much when he was in, Francisco Lindor was pretty much the face of that franchise, and Kyrie Irving was pretty much the sidekick to LeBron.
Yeah, see, that's where Lindor has the advantage. Lindor was the face of the franchise. Lindor is, when you think of Indians baseball, during the 5.5 years that Lindor was in Cleveland, it's Francisco Lindor. He's the guy. Everyone wanted him to be the face of the franchise, Mr. Smile. He's the guy we want to have in an Indians uniform the rest of time. Okay, you weren't going to do that because the Indians don't have the money, or they have the money, but they don't have money to spend around Lindor, so you'd get either Lindor and a bunch of mediocre stuff, or you would have nice pieces and a better chance to win without Lindor. The Indians chose the latter. But shame on Lindor for not saying, hey, look, I'm not Frankie. My name is Francisco. And please address me as that name.
DJ nailed it. Once he left Cleveland, he forfeited the right to be upset about that. And now what he should be is, hey, thanks for your time, Cleveland. You were wonderful, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
All that. And then tell the Mets media, no more Frankie.
Yeah.
And then everything would have been fine.
Exactly. I mean, it's to sit back and take a pop shot on the way out of Dodge and say, well, the people in Cleveland, they're lazy. They called me Frankie. You didn't say anything.
It seems like every time someone leaves a team, they have this need to bring up some kind of beef with the city or something. It's almost like it's human nature.
I'd like to say that I'm surprised by this, but I'm not surprised by this because Lindor was a fraud from the get-go. So there you go. I mean, I'm sorry, and even when I was, and you will be attested to this.
Talk about getting a hit out of Dodge.
You will be attested to this because I had said early on last year, well, Lindor really isn't that great.
You said he's overrated.
He's
but
overrated.
Not fraud. Fraud is like, okay, he was still a very fantastic player.
Fraud in that his personality was not as real as people think. That's what I mean by fraud. Fraud as a player? No. Overrated? Absolutely. He couldn't hit in the clutch to save his life. And I had said that before he left town. But the fraud part is his personality was nowhere near what he...
You saying he wasn't Mr. Smile?
He was, but it wasn't a real smile. More of a fake smile.
To local basketball.
It was more of a fake smile. All right, to local basketball. And
we have a lot of fun.
Did I not say on Monday, beware of Valley Christian because they're going to give McDonald everything under the sun? And I'm looking at this and I'm like, getting updates because I didn't watch the game last night. I had other things that to do. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, they're not scoring a lot of points. Oh, this is Valley Christian's kind of game. They're holding McDonald down. This might very well be Valley Christian's night, and they had that chance. And
they did one simple mistake. I don't know if you saw the last shot.
He was open.
It was a screen.
Yep.
And Valley didn't switch.
Yep.
And then he's open. It was a deep 3, but it's just that one little mental mistake where you don't switch your screens, and then all of a sudden McDonald can really hurt you. They're so good that you make that one little mental mistake.
And props to the kid who hit the 3. I mean, okay, it was a bank shot. Okay, I get it. It was, but that's a deep 3. Hey, listen. Props to them for hitting that shot. That was unbelievable.
Did you see him shoot it and then stand there and just it was almost like he willed it. He stood there like he was almost crouching, like get in there.
And then he kind of outran everyone down the floor.
Well, actually, when it went in, he paused for a second, like he couldn't believe what he just saw. Because for a beat, he didn't even move. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I gotta run."
It's like, I'm gonna run because these guys are gonna kill me.
Man, McDonald has made a living off of dramatic flares this season. They've come back from really big fourth quarter deficits. They've hit buzzer beaters to win games. They just, it happens once, it's luck. It happens more than once.
They're just good.
They know what they're doing down the stretch, and they execute really well. So, man, I just can't speak enough about the grit of the team and the ability to, when you're having a tough night and you're facing a upset in the face and you hit a shot like that.
Unbelievable.
Impressive.
No, it is. And congratulations. This was 57 points in overtime. You played 36 minutes of basketball. Valley held you to 57 points. We didn't think that McDonald could play that brand of basketball and beat Valley, and they just did.
No disrespect to Eli Street, but he was not the first option for McDonald. I mean, they ran that play for him, but he had 9 points before that shot. Miles Culp had 15. I think
Carquito had 13.
had 15.
Yeah.
Carquito had 13. So you look at that, and I bet Valley Christian's thinking, okay, it's got to go to Culp. He's the guy that can really shoot anywhere on the floor. Eli Street comes off of a ball screen out of nowhere and hits a 3. I mean, they can beat you in so many ways, so many different players that can really beat you, and that's what makes them really hard to defend.
And by the way, Street made 4 baskets, all of them beyond the arc. So, crazy. They will play Warren JFK.
Which is the matchup we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, exactly. And we were all kind of hemming and hawing. Does Warren JFK really want to be in this bracket? Why would they do this? Well,
here we go.
They get their opportunity, and they started out a little slow against Jackson Milton, but they turned it on about halfway through the first quarter, and they didn't look back. It was a very efficient game for the Eagles last night.
Yeah, this is going to be a star-studded district championship.
Man, and this is going to be fun.
Maybe one of the, in recent memory, like the most star-studded absolute superstar district championship that I can remember. I mean, on both sides, you have 1,000-point scores. You have college commits. You got just wonderful athletes on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a really fun district championship.
Yeah, and this is D4.
Yeah.
And you normally don't hear college-bound athletes, star-studded players in Division 4. No disrespect to Division 4. It's the lowest rung on the ladder. You don't get a lot of college recruits playing Division 4 basketball. The stars are going to be out when these two teams play. This is going to be a great game. And Kennedy has said all along, hey, look, we went up to this district because we believe we can beat McDonald. You get your shot. You get your shot, because on the other end of the brackets, can we just say that Matthews just went to Columbiana County and did the entire Columbiana County tour and finished 3-0. They go to Southern, they beat the Indians. They go to Columbiana, they beat Heartland Christian. They go all the way down to Wellsville, they beat the Tigers. All 3 games by a combined 7 points, 3-0 in Columbiana County. Note to self, do not schedule Matthews if you're a Columbiana County school.
This last one was the most impressive.
Absolutely.
Because Wellsville, they've just been very good all season, and especially their defense. And Matthews just came riding in on the Mustangs, and they've been the road warriors. I think they were on the road the whole time, right? They were at Southern
all 3 games were in Columbiana County.
Put on the slippers because we have a Cinderella story.
Yeah, so Matthews will be taking on Bristol, and these two teams, I think they know each other a little bit.
What was
tiny bit.
What was the final score of that Bristol-Lowville game?
Bristol beat Lowville by 15 points last night, 59-44. And it was a great game for both ends of the floor by the Panthers.
I thought it'd be a little bit closer.
Yeah, the Panthers jumped on Lowville, and they didn't stop. It was a workman-like performance.
But I'll tell you, the Rockets have a sophomore in Anthony Lucente that is extremely impressive, and he's got 2 more years to grow. So I don't think Lowville is going to be going anywhere.
Before we jump out of Division 4, and let me just say this about Wellsville, and this should send shivers down the spine of every single team in the East EOAC. Bug Thompson loses 1 player on this team. Bug Thompson had no juniors on this team. He went to a district semifinal game and will be back with a bunch of freshmen and sophomores this year. He's got 2 and 3 years left with those kids. And he's got an undefeated 8th grade team, or they were undefeated in the 7th grade. I believe this year they lost at least 1 game because Leetonia got them. That team is incredibly talented, and they're going to be freshmen next year. The freshmen will be sophomores. The sophomores will be juniors. He has no seniors on this team right now, no future seniors. Bug Thompson has this team lined up to where, if everything falls into place, this could be a regional team for the next 4 years.
If you want to know where Wellsville is, follow the cold shiver that just ran down.
Exactly, as Anthony wrecks the joint. The cold shiver that sends the microphone into the bleachers. Holy Toledo!
You scared the crap out of it.
Well, there you go.
I am so comfy. It's this stuff right here.
Yeah, you've been drinking a little bit too much Mountain Dew there.
I'm a little jacked from last night's regional semifinal.
Well, yeah, and we got to talk a little bit about that. But before we do, let's go to Division 3 since we're on the subject of boys. Springfield knocked off Champion. They started out slow. Champion gave them a game. But Springfield in the second half said, we're ready to go.
We said it on Monday. Champion's a team that you really got to watch out for. You cannot sleep on Champion. And they came out. They were leading by 2 at the half. And then Springfield just put together a really remarkable second half. They were not – I think they woke up at halftime and they said, we cannot lose this game. And I said Springfield already had their smelling salts in the regular season with the loss to Sebring. They were not going to let that happen again. But they definitely started off slow enough that Champion was able to take that lead into halftime.
Yeah, Springfield outscored the Golden Flashes 34-19 in the second half to get the victory, 54-41.
Now they get to host the district championship game, and then of note, their opponent will be decided tonight because South Range boys got that game moved to offset the scheduling with their girls team that was playing in Cuyahoga Falls.
Yes.
So that game is happening tonight in Pymatuning Valley. So the district championship will be set after tonight.
Yeah, historically, the OHSAA is really good about making sure that boys and girls that are playing on the same night, they move one of the games.
That's what it was supposed to be because the girls were originally, like when they broke down the regional schedule, South Range girls were supposed to play on Wednesday night, tonight. But Cuyahoga Falls said they didn't want to have to host 2 games in one night.
Yeah.
So they just took the first game, moved it to Tuesday, which means the South Range boys were sitting there saying, well, we have a game Tuesday too, so they just moved it up to Wednesday.
Yeah, so South Range will go to Pie Valley tonight, and we'll see who gets Springfield. It would not surprise me if it's a rematch between South Range and Springfield.
The storylines want a South Range Pymatuning Valley, a South Range Springfield rematch, because it doesn't get much better than an old-fashioned rivalry in the district championship.
Not to mention the fact that both teams are part of the YSN family, and we're guaranteed a regional team. So selfishly, we're wanting South Range and Springfield. I mean, let's be honest. Selfishly, that's our goal. We go to the girls' regional tournament. We'll go to the team that struggled last night first, and that would be the Poland Bulldogs.
I watched this game on the way home from Cuyahoga Falls. Let me just tell you, both sides clinical defense.
Yes.
But Perry's defense might have been the best defensive effort I've ever seen in my life. Just on the film, watching it. They played 4 quarters of just keep everyone in front of you and make sure that every shot the other team takes is the hardest shot possible. And they did not foul a lot. They played very disciplined. It was a defensive clinic, and you did that from the numbers. Jackie Grisdale had 2 points.
Yep.
It's got to be a career low.
Abby Farber had 3 points.
Right. Their lead scorer had 6.
Yeah.
With Mary Brandt. So
this was.
It was just it was a defensive clinic. It really was.
They were pretty impressive.
You knew Perry's defense was good because they held Salem to 12 at halftime.
Oh yeah.
They laxed a little bit in the third quarter to let Salem get back into it. That's why that was a game. And I bet in practice the next 2 days, Perry was saying, we got to play that kind of defense for 4 quarters to go to the regional championship game. And dang, that's what they did. They played solid defense for 4 quarters. And props to Poland's defense for keeping them in the game that long, even though their offense was struggling. That game wasn't a runaway until about halfway through the 4th quarter because Poland's defense was going toe-to-toe with Perry's.
Keep this in mind. Perry held a Salem team that is not as good as Poland offensively. Perry held Salem to 12 points. They held Poland to 9 points last night in one half of basketball.
I think the thing that let Salem come back in that game, not just the fact that Perry got a little bit lax on defense, and I think this came through in this matchup when both teams matched up with each other. Salem has a few more consistent scoring options. Not like they don't have a superstar like Jackie Grisdale that can just go off at any time.
Agreed.
But they have Kyla Jamison, who's pretty dang good and deserves a lot of attention from a defense. But they also have some secondary scorers that can consistently get in there. And I think Poland's I don't want to say but Poland needs Jackie Grisdale to score for those secondary scorers to get looks. Salem has other people that can kind of get their own shots when they need to. And I think that was the difference when you see how Salem played Perry compared to Poland. Perry just shut Jackie Grisdale all the way down. And it felt like the rest of the offense, seeing Jackie Grisdale get shut down, went into a shell a little bit and played a little bit intimidated. Because, oh man, if our star can't even get space, how am I supposed to get space? So I think that was a little bit of a difference. Salem has a little bit more balance on their offense. Maybe not as much scoring capacity or superstar talent, but definitely more balance, and I think that's what helped them kind of get back into that game.
When we go into the question of would you rather shut the superstar down and force the other people to get theirs or have the superstar go off but shut the other people down? One of the things that we never really mentioned was if you shut the superstar down, could there be an effect where the rest of the role players go, oh crap! Our person just got shut down.
And to do that, you have to really shut them down. Like not hold them to 10 points or hold them to you have to absolutely put the clamps on that person for that to happen.
And they did it.
And they did that to Jackie Grisdale. She was frustrated all night, and then unfortunately for her, even the 4 or 5 open looks she got just didn't go down. So. She didn't get a lot of open looks, and she didn't hit the ones that she did get, and that was the story for Poland all night. I talked to Blanche after, and he just said, it wasn't our night. We couldn't buy a bucket. Even the few good looks we got wouldn't go in. So one of those nights where the rims were closed for Poland, also very good defense from Perry. It's a bad combination that equals a nightmare for Poland.
Now let me ask you, because Shaker Heights Laurel, they did a number on CBCA. They beat them by 20. Can Perry actually beat Shaker Heights Laurel, or at least give them a serious scare?
With the defense they're playing right now, I think they can at least be competitive, but Laurel has so many options. I mean, they're kind of like if you maybe bring down Jackie Grisdale like a peg and then put 5 of those on the floor, that's Shaker Heights Laurel. I mean, they have so many different ways to beat you. They're so athletic. They'll beat your defense down the floor in transition, so Perry better be running really well. It's going to be a tough task to hold Laurel down, but I can't go against the defense that Perry has been playing and say that they're going to get smoked or something. So I think if they play the same high-caliber defense, then they can at least keep themselves in that game. Remember, Perry's offense did not start well either. I mean, they only had 17 points in the first half.
Yeah, they were only up 17-9.
It was their defense that won that game. So their defense is going to have to win this game.
But Poland played some really good defense in the first half of this game. So I think this is an interesting matchup. I still think Laurel wins the game, but I think that Perry could keep them close because they've played ridiculous defense.
Laurel is very good, and rightfully so. They're one of the teams that are favored to win state. But at the same time, you have to look and say, well, South Range had a lead on them in the third quarter, and they were down a couple players, and their bench got to them, and that's why Laurel won the fourth. So you gotta be like, well, if if South Range can do that, then they're definitely beatable. There are weaknesses they can have, and Perry has to try to execute those weaknesses and try to win a regional championship. So.
Well, they say,
I think it would be the first in their program's history, first time they get to go to state.
Yeah, they say defense wins championships, and Perry has the defense to win one. So we'll see if they can pull off the victory over Shaker Heights Laurel. Unfortunately, Poland eliminated in the regional semifinals. But on the flip side, we do have a team in the regional championship game. Jeff Fischel and his South Range Raiders, and Coach Fischel loves to play defense, and, well, that's exactly what they did. You hold a team to 44 points, you should be able to win in high school basketball. And South Range scored 51. Mission accomplished. They get to the championship game.
Some things I want to say about this game because I was there. One, I want to give props to Cuyahoga Falls for being a great host. I mean, they have an old rustic gym, and what they did was they didn't let anyone in the first, like the floor bleachers, and everyone was up top in the bleachers up in the second deck. So no one was really on the floor except Benia and the players and the staffs.
Oh, there you go.
And they also did a great job just putting in the effort to make it a tournament atmosphere. The PA announcer got into every basket, especially if someone hit a three. They had the stats board there running the stats. So they really, as much as they could, they made it a tournament atmosphere. So they did a good job because you deserve that. If you get to regionals, you deserve a tournament atmosphere. Another thing, I wish Warrensville Heights was a YSN school because I wish we could have followed this story and being able to tell it through YSN because they were 0-46 for 2 straight years before Coach Bryant took over that program. He took it over. It's in his, I think, third year. His first 2 years, they won 16 wins apiece. This year, COVID made him start late, and then Coach Bryant gets shot in December. He's recovering from that in the hospital. They find a growth in his kidney. They have to remove that. The Friday before his district championship, he still coaches in that district championship, gets the team to their first district championship in program history, and then they were evenly matched with South Range the whole night. They had chances to win. Just a props to that program. I went up to him after the game and I told him, you're an inspiration. You're doing the right things. You're doing everything the right way. It was great to cover him for a game and being able to tell that story for a game. And one of the things that really just put the icing on the cake for his character, Izzy Lamparty's getting interviewed outside the locker room, but there's a couple other reporters waiting to interview her because it was her birthday. She had 26 points. The headlines write themselves. So after her first round of interviews are done, she comes out of the gym, and then I'm looking around, and Coach Bryan is the only coach in the staff that's kind of standing around. And he's on crutches because, all that happened. So after Izzy comes out from the locker room and she's about to get interviewed again, this man, he comes beaten like faster than I've ever seen anyone on crutches go. And he's like, don't record yet, don't record yet, don't record yet. And before Izzy's interview, he says, you're special, you're unique, and you're going to do great things. And that's just like class. You just got beat. It's got to feel like so sucky. And you're on crutches standing out there waiting for one of the players to come out just so you can go up to them and tell them how special that they are and how much you were impressed by watching her play against your team. It just speaks wonders to that man's character. And like I said, I can't give props to that program enough. And hopefully one day in the near future we get up into the Cleveland area and we can cover Warrensville Heights.
Yeah, Warrensville Heights is a cool school anyway. It's a suburban Cleveland school, a really good school, and I love the area in the Cleveland area where they call home. I knew South Range would have their hands full, and as much as Izzy Lamparty went off on her birthday, 26 points. Can we give some major props to the number 2 role player in this one was Lexi Giles, who went off for 14 points.
She had maybe the most important 6 points of the game because you knew that Warrensville Heights was going to make a run at some point in this game. They're a team that loves to make runs. They score in really quick little packages. You watch their film, they score 13 points at a time, and then they might go on a drought for a couple minutes, and then score 10 points at a time. South Range opened the game with a 19-9 first quarter lead, and then Warrensville Heights, they made that run. They won the second quarter 16-7. They scored the first 4 points in the third quarter, took a 29-26 lead. You could feel it in the gym. The momentum was going right to the Tigers. And I'm sitting there calling the game saying, man, South Range better score now, because if this game goes to 5, and the momentum can really go downhill really quick.
Sure.
And Lexi Giles hits back-to-back threes to spark an 8-0 run by the Raiders to kind of give them back control of that game, and they never trailed after that point. So those 2 threes from Lexi Giles might have been the most important points of the game.
Yeah, and she wound up sticking 2 threes, those back-to-back
Right.
threes, en route to the 14-point game for South Range. And again, like you said, partner, 26-25 at halftime, 41-39 at the end of the third quarter. This was a tight game.
And the only reason they got to 7 points was because South Range hit some free throws down the stretch. I mean, it was pretty tight the whole fourth quarter.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you look at Warrensville Heights, you can argue that they lost this game from the free throw line. They went just 3 of 11.
Yeah, they did leave some points to the free throw line, but the Raiders left plenty of points from the free throw line, too. I mean, they didn't shoot great from the free throw line. They shot better than they did in the district championship game where they went 13 of 29. But I believe this time around they went 13 for 20.
13 for 21.
13 for 21.
And that's less than 65%.
So it's still not what Coach Fisher wants it to be. But at the same time, 13 compared to 3, that's 10-point advantage on the free throw line.
Sure.
And they're getting to the foul line a lot. That's 26, 21. So in the last 2 games, that's 47 trips to the free throw line. So Coach Fisher's probably happy about that, and he probably thinks that if Waynedale puts them at the free throw line that much and they hit their free throws, it'll give them a great chance to win. Or Garfield.
Yeah, and you go to the free throw line an awful lot because you take the basketball to the basket and you draw the foul, and obviously you're shooting the ball as you're drawing the foul, so you get the 2 shots. But they're going to have their hands full regardless who wins this game tonight.
One of the coolest acts of athleticism I've ever seen in a girls' basketball game. One of the players for Warrensville Heights, Jada Ward, their point guard, was running to catch a ball that was heading to the sideline. She couldn't save the ball. Ron, I'm not kidding. She cleared the scores table in one leap.
Love it.
I was and she didn't stick the landing, so she was hurt a little bit on the other side of the scores table. She got back up. She was back in the game 3 minutes later, but she flat out cleared the scores table.
I wonder if she does high jump. Yeah, with if she's a track and field star.
She was one of those players that usually South Range likes to be in your face.
Yeah,
Warrensville Heights dared them. Like, they stood at the top of the floor dribbling and said, if you come, Jada Ward's going to drive right by you, and she would. So South Range had to kind of sit their defense back a little bit and meet Warrensville Heights at the 3-point line.
And the further along you go to the tournament trail, you run into players that are a little bit quicker than your defense, and then you're not going to have the luxury of playing that regular defense that South Range plays, where they're aggressive man-to-man defense. Sometimes you're going to have to back off because you find someone like Jada Ward who's really quick and can blow by your defenders.
Right. Her first step was incredible, and then she had great ball handling. So she's a great point guard. She's coming back next year. And the Tigers only have 3 seniors. 3 out of their 7 girls are seniors. So hopefully they have some people coming up.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the other storylines is like, man, if they get into foul trouble, they're going to be hurting. And I think 2 girls had 3 fouls in the third quarter. So I was sitting there thinking, this is danger time for Warrensville Heights. Now, props to those girls for playing very disciplined defense in the fourth quarter and not fouling out. I think one person fouled out of the game with like 20 seconds left. But they do a good job. I think they understand how many fouls they're allowed to have and how aggressive they can be when they get down to 3 or 4 fouls.
And there's something to be said for a basketball team that has 7 or 8 kids, and you know that you can't be in serious foul trouble, and they're playing knowing that we're not going to commit any fouls, so they're able to play the caliber of basketball that they do defensively and still make sure that they're not getting any fouls. That's the sign of not only a good coach, that's the sign of a really good program.
And another thing I love that they played so physical, but they were also such class. I mean, after every whistle, they'd help someone up off the floor. They'd pat someone on the back if they fell off the ground. It's hard to teach a kid to play a physical defense, but then lose that physical mentality after the whistle. And it's rare to see a team play so physical and then be not keep that attitude after the whistle blows. But Warrensville Heights did a really good job at that as well.
Okay, so South Range gets the winner of tonight's game between Garrettsville Garfield and Apple Creek Waynedale. This game will be at Cuyahoga Falls High School, 6:15 start. No disrespect to Garfield. They've had an unbelievable season. Waynedale's the favorite. A lot of people are arguing that Waynedale's the best team in this region. I will vehemently say no, because I think South Range is, but we might find out if Waynedale does get past Garfield. But I'm going to tell you right now, they'll be in a fight against Garrettsville Garfield.
I'm going to have this game up because Garfield's very senior-led. They're experienced. The stage isn't going to be too big for them. And I think that they have the pieces. Now, I haven't seen Waynedale on tape. That's one of the things that I'm really excited to kind of watch this game to see what they have, what makes them so special. But I think from what I've seen from Garfield, they definitely have the pieces to give anyone a run. So I think it should be a pretty competitive game.
I would imagine, and this is the disadvantage of having one tournament on one night, another tournament game on another night. The South Range coaches are most definitely going to want to see this game. And so they're going to have to make a trip to Cuyahoga Falls instead of, hey, we're going to hang out and watch the nightcap, or we're going to be here early so we can see the first game before we're on the floor.
You made a point that on yesterday's show that, in this tournament it's an advantage to the nightcap that you get to go and the team gets to watch the first team play. Well, this year they weren't allowed in the gym for that first game. Only the coaches were. So the team could not go in and watch the first game. So Poland couldn't go and watch Laurel versus CVCA. Only the coaches could.
What the heck are the girls doing then?
So they must have just been out in the cafeteria. But they kept them out. Everyone out of the gym, cleared the gym, and then went back in after the...
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I know.
I mean, if you're entire...
Barberton had the 300 people in that gym from 150 for both schools, and that was it. Other than the coaches were allowed in. They let the coaches in.
But if you're taking your entire bus...
I don't know if they got there. I don't know if Poland got there early. I texted Coach Blanche at like 4:45, which was well before that first game started, and I said, are you guys allowed to watch the first game? He said, only the coaches. So I don't know if that meant that Poland didn't even go early, or if they went for like the second half and had their girls warm up in like an ancillary gym. But only the coaches were allowed in the gym for the first game.
That's weird. I'm sorry, that's weird. It just is. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. I guess it's a calm before the storm. The storm of district semifinal games on Thursday, district championship games on Friday, district championship games on Saturday for the boys, regional semifinal game in D4 for the girls. Friday, we don't have regional championship games on Friday, but we have them on Saturday.
2 of them.
And then we have district championship games in D3 and D4 on Friday, and 2 district championship games on Saturday in high school basketball for boys. And then girls, we have a regional semifinal tonight, a regional semifinal tomorrow night, and then regional championship games in divisions 2, 3, and 4. Well, we won't have 2 because Poland is out.
Right.
But 2, 3, and 4 is Saturday, to which we'll have South Range in Division 3 and the winner of Western Reserve and McDonald in Division 4.
I think that regional championship for Division 2 in Barberton is actually on Friday night.
Is it? Well, you know what? You might be right on that. But, I mean, like I said, it's not
I know we don't have a team in it.
We don't have a team in that.
We were getting prepared for, like, okay, if Poland wins, something go to Barberton on Friday night, and then South Range would be on Saturday afternoon.
The Purple Palace.
The Purple Palace.
Yeah. The
home of the Magic, and I put in my headline for the story, Poland ran out of magic in Barberton. So
nice. Nice.
They did. It was both teams were on magical tournament runs, so someone was bound to run out of magic.
What do we call the Heartland Christians place? Do we call it the Purple Palace?
I think it's actually on their floor or on their. I think somewhere in that gym it says Purple Palace.
Oh, okay. Well,
Barberton can add.
We're far enough away from Barberton.
When the problem comes where Barberton is a YSN school, then we'll deal with what to call their place. But until then,
because I was like, that name sounds awfully familiar because we did a couple of games from Hardland this year.
Let's deal with that problem when it surfaces.
Yeah, no problems here. I'm good with that. We have a Purple Palace down in Columbiana County. No, we don't have the chicken place that is anywhere remotely as good as Barberton, but that's no big deal. Barberton's got some damn good chicken. Holy crap, that is a great town to eat chicken, but. Unfortunately, we won't have a D2 regional championship.
Point out, did we talk about the other D3 bracket with Mooney getting a big win over?
We did not. We did not. Mooney knocking off LeBray, and I was hoping LeBray would give Mooney a game. Unfortunately, that game was over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Mooney outscored him 19-6 in the first quarter, and it was an uphill battle after that.
And Planey got his 1,000th point of his career, so congratulations to him.
He needed 35 points, and he got 35 points last night. So congratulations to Michael Pelini. He gets his 1,000th point. More importantly, Cardinal Mooney goes to the district championship game where Mooney will play Waterloo, who upended Newton Falls.
Yeah, and Waterloo made kind of a statement because there's been a lot of rumbling this week, in the media and in the newspapers about Waterloo's a one-man show, one-man band. You shut down Kyle Shockley, you can beat them. And they were kind of sick of it. And they had a lot of balance in this game to beat Newton Falls. And props to them for kind of using a couple of things outside of their team to fuel the fire and get some balance into their offense.
How many points did he get last night?
He still got points, but I don't think he went off for like 38 or 47 like he has in the past.
Yeah.
So balanced offense for Waterloo.
Well, Cardinal Mooney plays some seriously good defense.
You need that balance.
And this will be an interesting
Mooney's
challenge.
going to be in that. We're going to have to see if Mooney wants to put in effort to shut down Kyle Shockley or let Kyle Shockley go off and shut down his counterparts. So.
Mooney plays good enough defense to where they could put one guy on Shockley and say, you're not going to get yours tonight, and we'll take care of the rest. But we'll see what happens there. To hold LeBray to 39 points, that's frightening. What Mooney did last night is frightening. And it's a mercy roll game where once you're up by 35 points, it's a running clock.
Right.
You go into a district semifinal game, you're not supposed to be mercy rolled. That's frightening what they did to LeBray last night, and it would appear that Mooney is back to being the Cardinal Mooney that we saw prior to them getting shut down by COVID, and that's a frightening prospect for anybody right now.
And then, of course, we have the D2 boys tomorrow night in their district semifinal.
Yeah, Canton South at Struthers, and we've made mention of this when Salem and West Branch, physical type of defensive league. And if you have officials that allow these kids to play their caliber of basketball, their style of basketball, Canton South will give Struthers a game. But if it is a tightly contested game, tightly officiated game, then I think that Struthers will have no problem beating Canton South tonight, or tomorrow night, excuse me. As far as the other game, two Cinderellas, Chardon going into Canfield to play the Cardinals, and we said this before the tournament started. I would not want to play Canfield because they're starting to get good, and here they are in the district semifinals, and I expect them to beat Chardon, and I expect them to go to the district championship game.
What a run for Canfield. Oof. And I think we both said at the start of the districts, this is not a team you want to play in the tournament.
Nope.
They were kind of – any team that kind of overachieves a little bit is a dangerous team in tournament time, because they get that sense of almost immortality a little bit, that sense of, okay, confidence is off the charts, and that's dangerous. And now they get to host a district semifinal, which is something that they probably never dreamed that they would be
in
able
their
to
wildest dreams. And Chardon upsetting Perry, that provided that opportunity. And the other thing with Canfield, the freshmen are young enough to not know what they're really getting into.
You don't know what you don't know.
And they're a very talented group of kids. There's no two ways about it. The other half is just straight bananas. I mean, the Louisville Poland game, first one to 50 might win this game. West Branch and Cheney, I'll revert back to the Canton South Struthers games. If the officials don't call ticky-tack fouls, West Branch will give Cheney everything they want because they play that caliber of defense. But if the officials call it tight, Cheney's going to blow this team out.
I think you're right.
You hope the officials let the kids play.
You look at West Branch's schedule this year and their final scores, not a lot of games have gone into the 60s. So they need to keep this low scoring. They would love to keep it in the 50s. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But even if it gets into the 60s, that'd be a win against Cheney. So definitely want to keep it below 70. I don't think they want to get into a running match with the Cowboys. But they want to keep them down as much as possible, and they can only do that if they're able to play their physical brand of defense.
Is this straight chalk where Struthers, Canfield, Poland, and Cheney, the home teams, all win? Because I see at least one upset here.
I would say the biggest chance for an upset is Louisville over Poland, and I'm only saying that because of their independent schedule. Their tough Division I type of schedule that really tests them and sharpens their tools. Not to say Poland's schedule is bad. It's a really good schedule for Poland.
Sure.
This is a different animal when you're independent and you're playing up in an area that's stocked loaded with Division I teams. So I think that's probably the biggest chance for an upset.
Selfishly, I want to see Grisdale win one more district championship because this is his last year. Right. And I surely would love to see him take this Poland team on an unbelievable journey. But I'm with you. I think if there's one upset to be had, assuming the referees call a normal basketball game and they don't let the players get out of control, I think Louisville has the best chance at upsetting Poland of the four games.
I said on Monday, Christian Colosimo is going to be so important to the Bulldogs in that game because he's their big physical guy that can step out a little bit and hit some perimeter jump shots, but also drive inside, be big, be physical, and Poland's going to need that against Louisville. So I think Colosimo is going to be the guy to watch. If he's on and he's giving Louisville problems, then Poland has a good chance.
Agreed. Agreed. We're going to take a timeout. On the other side, Brian Tolnar. We're going to get his take on the upcoming PGA Tour and explain to me why we can't win money in my contest that we're not doing very well in the last couple of weeks. I thought I had someone that was going to give me the ace in the hole. It's turned out to be a two of diamonds instead of an ace. I'm just saying.
Not far. You just have to make some changes.
I got to make a little bit of changes. I mean, it's just All right, we'll take a timeout and be
put
back.
Brian in the hot seat.
Yeah, exactly. We're stopping Lindor in the hot seat. We're going to put Brian Tolnar in the hot seat now. Brian Tolnar coming up next. Stick around.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the market for a brand new or slightly used automobile, you certainly need to do yourself a favor and check out the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown before you put pen to paper and sign your life away and have to owe money and pay on a 60-month loan or whatever the drill is. Make sure you go to Greenwood Chevrolet. They will they'll save you some money and they'll also earn your business. They're good people down there. All right, let's go to the phone lines where we have Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek. We get some PGA on our mind. Brian, how are you today, sir?
Doing great. The sun is out. The long-range forecast over the next 2 weeks looks very, very promising. So we're in pretty good shape. I was joking with some of our staff. We have this pair of mourning doves that come to our place, and it's usually right around spring, and they build a nest right outside the kitchen of our house. They were spotted there 3 days ago. So you know it's time, and everything's flipped the switch. They're back from Florida, and they're ready to go up here. So as they are, we will be over the next couple weeks and getting everything under control and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I don't trust a rodent like Punxsutawney Phil. I'll trust the birds long before I trust a rodent like a groundhog. That's and that's just me. When the birds start flying back north, then you know that the weather's about to get a whole lot nicer.
Then you're cooking with gas. There's no doubt about it.
All right, one of my favorite tournaments is going to be coming up this weekend. It is the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. It's at one of the better courses in all of Florida, Bay Hill Club and Lodge in Orlando. And Arnold Palmer drinks are encouraged. That would be half iced tea, half lemonade, which I never had until last year. And I got to tell you, that is a really good, really refreshing drink.
I fondly remember you making your own.
Yes.
On the show.
Yes.
One time.
And it was disgusting because I did not put the right amount of iced tea and the right amount of lemonade. And I am now going to go and get the Arnold Palmer label so I can get the right amount instead of trusting my stupidity.
It was great. I see Ron go to the fridge and he comes back with 2 cups of stuff, and then he's putting them in like a chemist puts in chemicals into a beaker. I thought it was Dr. Honeydew.
Yeah, well, I got an F- in my in my course on proper way of distributing a Arnold Palmer because it was whatever I did was it was horrible.
I'll tell you what, he makes some good stuff. There's no doubt about it, and that started down in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. The members caught wind of him doing that, and they basically went and said, "I'll have an Arnold Palmer. I'll have exactly what he's having," and that's where it sparked. And obviously him on the endorsement side, being the first person to bring endorsements into the sport of golf, and you're bringing Jack Nicklaus in and bringing Gary Player in to the fray from an endorsement perspective. Went right to a distribution plant there in Latrobe and came up with the background to sell that commercially, and it's gone off like gangbusters. I can't even tell you how many they sell, across from the pro shop here with that can, and Arnie on the side and the variations of it. I know Jack Nicklaus has a lemonade. I think Gary Player has the iced tea version of it, and then he's got the mix of both. So it's a pretty cool story behind it and some very good stuff.
Now, the key in all of that is you do not get sweetened iced tea. It's unsweetened iced tea because you already have the sugar in the lemonade that's going to make it a very sweet texture.
Is that what went wrong for you, Ron?
I believe it is because I believe I chose – you know what? You are correct. I chose sweet tea, and I knew there was something that I did wrong, and now you've just solved the mystery. I should call Anthony Scooby Doo from here on out, or Freddie, because you just solved the mystery. So,
roll.
Too much sugar.
Get in your mystery van. I could have called you Shaggy, but you would be. Well, we're not going to go what Shaggy does because it was a kids' cartoon, and we're not supposed to talk about the other stuff. Let's dive into this golf tournament. It's Florida, and you tell me that Brooks Koepka is a guy that loves golfing in Florida. And oh, by the way, I should have paid attention to what you said last week, and when I dismissed and said, I'm not gonna choose him. Why would I want to choose him? So Koepka, I would imagine, is, without giving away the farm, I would have got to imagine he's got to be one of the favorites in this. Assuming he's playing, I got to assume that he's one of the favorites in this weekend.
Yeah, he's definitely up there and one of those guys to take a peek at. He's not in the Power 5 this week, but definitely one of those big names. And I know Rory comes across, Mcilroy, who we've had, I think, the last 2 weeks and has done nothing for us. So he got demoted from the Power 5 to the sleepers roster this week. But some of the big names that have, for whatever reason, the last couple of weeks, Dustin Johnson, especially this past weekend, probably played his worst stretch of golf all year, and it was kind of a shock, knowing with his background at the last week's tournament and the number of times, I believe he won it 3 times, going into the event, albeit on a different stage and on a different course. You would think he would have a better showing than he did, but anytime that you go to Bay Hill, there's a couple things that you really have to key in on. You have to do the majority of your scoring on the front 9 holes, and really 10, 11, and 12. If you can get ahead, very similar to last probably 3 weeks on the PGA Tour, going back to Riviera when they were in California, it's very tough to score on the last probably 5 or 6 holes in these past couple events that we had, and it'll continue this week, with the stretch of holes that you have, from 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 coming down the stretch. 17's a 221-yard par 3. You do have a little bit of a reprieve on 16 with the par 5 there, but it's not an easy par 5 like the stretch we saw the last couple weeks. So it's really what damage can you do, and how many birdies and eagles can you make on that front 9, and really play very conservative from 14 on in, and just really try to get it to the house without leaking too much oil. And we've seen a lot of that the past couple weeks. A lot of guys fall apart over those last 4 or 5 to 6 holes as they try to hold on and close out their round. And, you look at totals, historically, before they did the reconstruction and remodeling of the golf course, it's been anywhere from 12 to 13 to 19 under par the past probably 7 or 8 Arnold Palmer Invitationals. And, obviously last year's winner was Terrell Hatton at 4 under. And I think you're probably going to see something similar to that. Could be in single digits, probably nothing north of 11 or 12 under. But I'm thinking probably 8 or 9 could get you there at the end of the week. The golf course plays extremely tough. And, it could be a little bit of a factor of the guys just aren't used to the changes yet. And they haven't memorized the spots on the greens where the putts break. So there is a little bit of that, but it's always great to be able to go down to Orlando. You've got this week. You got the Players Championship coming up. You got March Madness going to hit, and then as soon as that's over, you basically end the spring season with spring Major League Baseball, and you've got the Masters sitting there waiting in the wings back in its normal time. So I can't think of a better place to start and kick off really the heart of the golf season as our weather changes up here by being able to watch the Arnold Palmer Invitational, an event that was debuted in 1966 as the Florida Citrus Open. It's been at Arnold Palmer's place since 1979, either the MasterCard, the Bay Hill Invitational, or the Arnold Palmer Invitational, as it's called now. Winner, since Arnold Palmer passed away, as recently as 16 and 17, they start giving out a red cardigan in memory of Arnie. So, it's a neat little tradition with this event, being that it's an invitational event as well. It's a limited field for, players between 120 to 132 players. The points are doubled. The exemption for winning this event is a little bit greater than a normal PGA Tour event, where you get that 2-year exemption. You win this, you get a 3-year exemption. You get into the WGC Championships, all 4 of those events, the Tour Championship, the Memorial, and the other invitational events. Being that there's only 5 of those, you definitely want to be in those to make up a ton of points. 2019, this was an event that they added to the British Open qualifying series. So they'll take 3 players that aren't necessarily qualified for the Open Championship. Will qualify out of Bay Hill this week. Very unique golf course. They have 27 holes there. They play 2 of the 9 holes. The original was designed by Dick Wilson, who passed away just before it was completed, and Bob Simmons completed the architecture of the facility. It's a resort private facility. Has a 69-room lodge on site. They have some guest cottages. They have the Arnold Palmer Golf Academy there. Every amenity from a spa to tennis to instruction to anything that you can think of that would be at a high-end resort. Being that it's a private facility, it has tough access to get into to play. However, anybody from the public can go there and shop in the golf shop down at Bay Hill. I had an opportunity to play there before they redid the golf course, so it's completely different than when I played, but a very unique place. Arnold Palmer was very savvy on, having good manners, being a good listener in the whole 9 yards. And, when you walk into a facility there, your hats are expected to be taken off, whether you're in the pro shop, the locker room, the dining room, the whole 9 yards. So, and that still isn't intact to today. That was one of his big pet peeves, guys coming in facilities with their hat on. He was just old school when it came to that. So it's kind of unique and kind of has some nostalgia to that. And, it's funny because I got a 6-year-old that's going to first grade. I have him say 2 things, every single day when I drop him off. I said, hey, what's the 2 things you're going to do today? Be a good listener and have good manners. So, as these tour players hit the grounds there at Bay Hill and Orlando this week, I can't help but think that, we're basically showering my kid with the same thing as he goes into his first grade class. And it's something that we talk about. And I think if you have both of those under your cap, I think you turn out to be a pretty good human being. So, the stuff that his father taught him about, treating people the way you want to be treated, certainly parlays into the tour players. I will give you a unique story. We had the opportunity to spend some time with Brent Snedeker a few years back, and they were shooting a commercial for MasterCard because Brent Snedeker, I think Tom Watson was in there. There's a number of others. Arnie obviously was part of that commercial shoot as well. Snedeker had his visor on there. Obviously, it had the MasterCard logo and all that. And he wouldn't let anybody shoot the commercial until they got their hats off. He's like, I don't know what you're all doing in here, but a lot of people got to get rid of their hats. They're like, well, we're in here for the shoot. He goes, we're not having it in here. So that those are off until you go outside and we do the shoot. So, I mean, he was very adamant about, making sure even that the tour pros were following the same procedures that the guests and the membership there at Bay Hill. So, unique situation and a unique facility. Always fun to watch those holes coming down the stretch. It's a very hard golf course to play. Very hard to score. Par 72 this week at 7,300 yards. So it is one of the longer facilities that they play. And, like anything this time of year down in Orlando, you can get some prevailing winds. You're a little bit below sea level in some spots. Ball doesn't necessarily travel as far as it would, as the players saw on the West Coast or in Arizona. So you may have to take an extra club here or there, and especially when you're coming down the stretch, you've got 221 in the hole 17, and you're looking at a flag that's got a lot of wind. It's very tough to score. And 18's no picnic to make birdie unless you're Tiger Woods, because he's made a living before that green was modified in making that putt, the 10-footer, the 15-footer, to either win or get himself into a playoff a number of his victories. Tiger won there 8 times, so with the last dating back to about 2013. So it's a fun venue to watch, and it's a great facility for having a PGA Tour event and having a tour event that's been there for, 55, 56 years now.
Brian, in the subject of listening, I remember as listening to you last year during the last PGA season in 2020 that you had said about 2 months ago, probably about 4 months ago, you want to be able to go out on the course early because the spike marks won't be prevalent, and you may be able to shoot some low scores. And I bring that up because Jason Kokrak will be shooting his first round at 7:44 a.m. Now, he will be the fourth group out. There is going to be a trio of players playing the front 9, trio of players playing the back 9. So 6 in the 7 o'clock, 6 more at 7:11, 6 more at 7:22, 6 more at 7:33. So there's going to be 24 golfers out on the course before Jason Kokrak tees off. Is that a ample time for him, or enough people on the course for him to still put up a pretty decent score considering the amount of spike marks that could be on the golf course?
See, I think it's an advantage in a couple aspects. Number one, you got the greens that are going to be in pristine shape. Not that they're not at any other time. They play on some of the best quality greens, bar none, and especially the weeks that they play the certain venues. With the exception of the British Open, and weather really dictates the bumpiness over there. It's something that they have to get used to. The American golf courses over here have the luxury of being in some good spots, good weather. Money is no object, and it's really unlimited to making sure that the greens are in great shape. Number two, what it does is, even though it's a morning tee time, and yes, it is early, you're still playing in Florida, and it's a lot warmer than it is at most parts of the country in the month of March. So I think that's the direct advantage to being out there. And most importantly, by the time he gets finished with his round, the winds don't start kicking up in Florida till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And depending upon if the sea's in or out, it'll kick up current and it'll kick up winds the rest of the afternoon. Especially early on, if you can get some early tee times on Thursday and Friday, I think it's a huge advantage. And every player is going to be dealing with the wind on Saturday and Sunday, depending upon what the weather conditions are there, for the rest of the week. But I certainly think that's a helpful tee time for Jason. And he's definitely one of the players that are in our Power 5 this week.
Now, Ron is yet to make money in his golf pick'em, and I feel like he might want to put you on the hot seat, Brian. I am offering my services as your defense team to make sure he doesn't pin this entirely on you. You can call Hartwig and Hartwig Law Firm for more insight.
Oh, Lordy. Yeah, and the Hartwig and Hartwig motto is, we give you the club, not give you, we give you the club.
I like it. No, I think this week's going to be a little bit different, and I think that the major focus is going to be on what's happened there over the past probably 5 or 6 years. And if you look at the champions in that block, it's been nothing but international players. I don't think an American has won there since 2014, 2015. So I think if you don't have some international players in your Power 5 this week or matchups, I think the international players certainly play well there. They've been on the U.S. Tour and the grounds for a couple weeks. They, for whatever reason, tend to play well in Orlando. They'll play well at the Players' Championship at the TPC of Sawgrass. So some names that you're going to see this week will be very familiar with who you see at the Players' Championship, and I think that's going to be the key on being successful. Now, they've had some American runner-ups, but it's been littered with a lot of foreign flags. So, if I'm picking this week, I'm definitely putting an emphasis on an international player because they tend to play well. And again, they're playing on courses overseas, the European Tour, all over the world, that don't have the quality of some of the golf courses that do in the United States. So, when they get some nice greens, they tend to be able to putt better and play well and get it up and down and chip a little bit better. So I think there's going to be an emphasis on that this week for sure.
All right, let's hear your top 5.
So, top 5 this week, coming in at the number 5 spot with 2 solid weeks, gained some footing. I think he's ready, and I think he's going to be in the top 10 this week. Jason Kokrak from Warren, Ohio. So he's our 5th spot this week. Speaking to the international flavor, number 4, good international player. He's very accurate off the tee, and I think that it's important that you're accurate off the tee to give yourself some opportunities at birdies. And I think when you give yourself opportunities at birdies, you have to make them this week. And a guy that putts it well, he's got a great track record down there. Hideki Matsuyama is our 4 slot this week. Again, another international player, defending champ, winner last year's event by 1 shot over Mark Leishman, another guy that I don't have in the top 5, but he's knocking on that door for that 4th or 5th spot. Terrell Hatton coming in at number 3. I just think that he plays well, he drives it accurately, hits a number of greens. He's won down there. He's got, I believe, a runner-up, a couple top 5s. He continues to play well in that Orlando corridor. So I think Terrell Hatton will certainly be in the mix this week to give himself the opportunity to go back-to-back. Coming in at number 2, a very close friend to Colin Morikawa. Basically a winner last year, another guy that's set to go on a run. And I think one of these young guns is certainly in that mix. Victor Hovland, Colin Morikawa, Will Zalatoris that we talked about a couple weeks. In that group of players fresh out of college that have spent a year or 2 on tour, that have gotten traveling under their belt, gotten some of these courses under their belt. Victor Hovland coming in at 2 this week. And then our number 1 spot, runner-up in 2019, I'm putting him in there because he's extremely accurate with the driver, which is going to give himself some good iron opportunities to hit a lot of greens this week. And if he makes some putts, and he's been playing well and up and down the past couple weeks, Matthew Fitzpatrick is the pick this week. Couple sleepers in there as well. Sungjae In, quietly under the radar, another international player that plays well in that geographic location in the United States. Rory Mcilroy, he was in our top 5 the last 2 weeks, and just really didn't do anything for us. If he's driving it well, he'll be in the mix, and we'll be in the mix the following week as well. Will Zalatoris is the 3rd sleeper of that bunch. He's had a solid 5 to 6 weeks. I've got to see him play. I've got to see him under the gun and under pressure a little bit, and I think that he may break through before the first half of the year is over. So Matthew Fitzpatrick, Victor Hovland, Terrell Hatton, Hideki Matsuyama, and the only United States player in the top 5 this week, Jason Kokrak, rounds out our Power 5 for the week.
I'm going to pick Matsuyama. I picked him last year, and I was 1 week off. I think he won the week after I picked him. So I'm going to go with him and probably sure bet that he'll win next week.
I think if he doesn't win, this week, he'll definitely win over the next couple weeks as they're still in the Florida swing. Just because he plays well, and he's picked up a win in the state of Florida, and I think he plays good there. And I think he may set up shop there for a certain point of the season in Orlando. So it's kind of a home game for a lot of these players that come over internationally. They like to stay in that Orlando area because it's easy access in and out, finding flights and so on and so forth. And, Sungjae In is definitely familiar with the area, and Bay Hill for that matter.
I've seen Fitzpatrick picked by a couple of folks. I went to PGAtour.com, and and I'm using air quotes here, experts. A couple of experts said that he would be hoisting the trophy. What about Mark Leishman?
Mark Leishman was knocking on the door at that 5 spot. He's got 1 win there, and I think 2 runner-ups. He is always in the hunt there, and he was recently a runner-up to Terrell Hatton last year. He plays well at about 5 venues and plays really well. He either wins them or he's like 2nd or 3rd, and this is one of those venues. So absolutely, that's a great pick. Not only does he hit the ball far off the tee, he's very, very accurate off the tee. So if he can stay out of the rough off the tee, I think he's definitely a top 10er this week for sure. That's something I could probably bet the bank on.
Okay, so my picks with my contest this week, which hopefully we're going to be able to do a little bit better than than last week. I think that we've pretty much nailed this, and I think this is a repeat of what we said last week, and the numbers weren't quite there last week.
Brian, as your counsel, I advise you to not say anything during this segment.
Well, to his defense, we had, I think he had Patrick Reed, and I know he had, we talked about Kapka, and I want to say Dustin was in there, and Dustin just flat out laid an egg. Probably the worst week that he's had in probably 2 or 3 months. And I don't know that anybody saw that one coming. I certainly didn't. There's no question about it.
I will actually say, in your defense, you told me to do 2 things, but you weren't really. You were kind of wishy-washy on one, and then you were kind of, yeah, you should, but I really don't want to commit to this, and I probably should have listened to you because both of them were the right choice to make, and I would have had more points, but I wouldn't have gone into the money. So here is the contest, and I think I have it. I think I have it nailed. But I will go by you, and we'll see what we got. The first matchup, and you have to either tie or beat this golfer. Rory McIlroy versus Terrell Hatton. I have Hatton.
Yep. That's a pretty even match too. That's a pretty darn even match. They both have history, but Terrell has more recent history since the course has been redone, so I would take Hatton just for that reason.
Jordan Spieth versus Patrick Reed. I have Patrick Reed.
I'm 50-50 on that. You're going to come down to good greens. Spieth is known for being a good putter, but he hasn't done anything all year. And Patrick Reed's from Georgia, so Orlando's close enough to the Georgia border where I'll say go with that.
Okay. I have Victor Hovland over Bryson DeChambeau, who's been Bryson DeChambeau. He's not done very well this tour season. I have Mark Leishman over Jason Day.
I like it.
Okay, this one I'm willing to hear your argument one way or the other. I have Francesco Molinari, because I'm Italian, over Tommy Fleetwood.
Fleetwood, I thought, was going to do better last week and didn't do very much. Those are about dead even, too. I tell you what, whoever's picking these are dead even, as they're going in there.
It's almost like they don't want to lose their money.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. These people smack of the odds makers with the football spreads. They're dead on. Ricky Fowler and Hideki Matsuyama. I got Matsuyama.
Yes.
Okay. Sungjae Im and Harris English. I have Sungjae Im.
Yes.
Matthew Fitzpatrick and Paul Casey. I have Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
And Justin Rose and Henrik Stenson. I have Henrik Stenson.
Boy, both of those players are playing like garbage. Henrik Stenson, I think, has won down there before, but it would have been like maybe 2000. Boy. Justin Rose made an equipment change last year and then went back to his other equipment, and he's been absolutely lost. But Justin Rose will play well at the Masters. He will play well at TPC Sawgrass. Oh, boy. That one's a coin toss because neither of them aren't playing very good golf right now.
Well, hopefully one of them gets to the cut line, because once you're cut, then you're screwed. So, hopefully one of them gets the cut line. You didn't make a good enough case. I'm going to stay with Stenson.
I object to that argument.
Did he? Your Honor, did he really make an argument for me to go to the other way?
When they're both playing like garbage, it's hard to tell who's playing of the worst too.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's see. You are saying Fitzpatrick for the win, and I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna jump on your guy. So let me go to Fitzpatrick, and we will undoubtedly. Hang on a second. Here we go. And we're going to go 9 under. Is that?
I like it.
Or 10 under. Which one would you prefer?
Go 10. We'll go 10 right on the nose.
All right, we're going to go 10 under confirmed picks. There we go.
Perfect.
We're in good shape here. So, and then we'll be chastising you the next week when but although I mean, this is it's my picks and you're just blessing them. So, and the judge here isn't really saying much of anything.
Hey, if the golf club doesn't fit.
Ah, okay. If the golf club doesn't fit, you must have quit. Okay. I'm liking that argument, Attorney Cochran. Lordy. So weather-wise, we've brought up the fact before we let you go, and we're speaking with Brian Tolnar. Well, we got a couple of things weather-wise up here, but before we break on the Arnold Palmer Invitational, you've mentioned the Florida winds. Orlando is in the middle of the state where you don't have the Atlantic Ocean or the Gulf of Mexico nearby. You got to go at least an hour in either direction to have the Gulf or the Atlantic Ocean. However, the sea breezes do get in across the entire state.
It definitely hums there, and we played a place called Reunion probably about 5 or 6 years ago, right in the Orlando area where Annika and they run several Champion Tour events and LPGA events. And I want to say we were playing in 40-mile-an-hour winds in end of January, early February. And the second day that we played, it was literally 40 to 45 degrees with 40-mile-an-hour winds. When you get winds like that in Florida and temperatures like that in Florida, it is absolutely bone-chilling cold. I would say it's colder there in those conditions than it is when it's 15 up here when it's cold, just because the wind is just, there's something about it. It goes straight to your bones. I think if you get any type of wind, it could be havoc. And I think, some of the years, if you look through where the scoring's been, it's gone from 4 under to 10 under to 18 under to 17 under to 5. It's based on what the weather conditions are throwing at you. And you have to do an awful lot, especially on a golf course that's been, redesigned and reconstructed, albeit 2 years ago. It's different for the players than it's played for a guy that's been a tour veteran and played there year in and year out for the last 10 or 15 or 20 years. So I think it's new for everybody. Club selection's obviously going to be the key. When you're sitting on a 221-yard par 3 and you got 40-mile-an-hour winds coming at you, you may have some pros pulling some head covers off of hybrids hitting it into that hole if the weather, is where it is. It does play a huge factor.
Now, the good news is if the wind is at your back, holy Toledo, can get into one, and it can go a long, long way.
You want it at your back, and you want it at your back on the right holes, and it changes, and it swirls, and it's different from day to day. And that's the difference playing, when you go to the West Coast to play, in San Francisco, and especially when you get down to, even when they used to have the events down at Tyrell, you get winds that are not primary winds, so you get a mix of everything through the course of the week. Especially, when we watch the British Open overseas, that's a perfect example. You may play the first 5 holes downwind, and the next 5 holes may be severely into the wind, and then the next day those both flip. So it plays very, very differently on the conditions that you're given. But from a superintendent standpoint and getting the golf course prepared and in tournament ready shape, I mean, those guys are the best at what they do. So conditions will be perfect. It's just what Mother Nature decides she wants to do to cause havoc or to let it be sunny and be nice out.
Okay, last week I had an opportunity to walk on the not on the golf course. I walked the golf cart path and was able to get my 1.5 miles or so in. I think it was over 2 miles, if I'm not mistaken. But there was a lot of ice chunks on the golf cart paths. The sun has been out. It's been really, really nice. All the snow. Let me ask: is all the snow officially gone?
Snow is gone. I mean, there may be a couple little patches in the parking lot from where they plowed, but for the most part, there's nothing laying on the golf course, which is a good sign. Because our staff, as of yesterday, started to go out there and start cleaning up a little bit. We've got probably about 2 weeks or a little bit more than 2 weeks to start cleaning up and getting the golf course back to where we want it. And then to the point where we can send equipment out, start rolling fairways, rolling greens, rolling tees, leveling them out so we can get the equipment out there to start cutting, which we are hopeful. The forecast next week looks excellent. So, obviously the rest of this week, after today, it chills down a little bit. But for the most part, there's not too much rain. There's a lot of sun. There's some wind in the forecast, which is a great combination for trying to dry up a course, sun and wind. I'm thinking by probably the 16th of November, we'll start going into our safety training for the equipment for our maintenance staff. And then by the 22nd, we'll get the folks out there to start cutting again and getting the signs back up, the garbage cans out, the ball washers out, the flags, you name it. And we are hopeful if the weather stays as it is, we're knock on wood, we'll be able to get the North Course open on that the last Monday in March, which will be, I think it's the 28th or 29th. And then, probably sometime shortly thereafter, first week or second week in April, we'll get the South open and we'll get the par 3 back to being open. And then maybe mid-April, we'll have the driving range open again. So, we're hopeful with that. We have a board meeting coming up Monday, so they're going to determine, I guess, if and when our reopening as a programming perspective and golf lessons and all of that. So hopefully we'll have some light shed on that based on what they decide to do. But, we're at the point where it's go time, and, golf will be open probably sooner because it was one of those sports that was allowable last year and considered safe. So that being said, the weather cooperates. We plan to hopefully be fully functional March 29th at the very earliest, if not that first or second week in April.
Well, knock on wood that this is true. Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Couple more things. Obviously, the month of March is a grab bag of a lot of stuff. I can recall, and this was about 30 years ago, we had an unbelievably large snowstorm that wound up dumping 2.5 feet of snow onto northeastern Ohio. It was a nor'easter that got all the way out to our area and dumped a significant amount of snow. God forbid this happens, but if it were to happen, how far back would would any snowfall turn the clock in terms of you guys opening up?
Well, the good news is, one single snowfall or a couple days of having snow on the ground will not hurt you, because as soon as we get out there, obviously we spray the chemicals and, we're trying to get some growth, and we put the fertilizers and stuff down to kickstart the grass. It'll stun it for a couple days or two, but it's not gonna hurt you. Now, if you're down and out for 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time, in the rest of the month of March, then it probably would slow things down quite a bit. But looking at the long range and in the nightly forecast, I mean, you're talking, 30s to 39 degrees on the low days. So that's really what we're looking for. The ground to thaw and to be nice at night where you're not waking up and you have heavy frost every morning because it's still 25 degrees out at night, and it's burning off by 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So, and the daytime temperatures have been good. Sunlight is king, and it would, just like it does for your yard at home, it does wonders for the fairways and the tee boxes. And, fortunately for us, everything was put to bed good at the end of last year, and chemical-wise, it was good last year. When we start this year, we'll start up, and we've got a nice stretch of weather to be able to get out there and take care of what's necessary. And, Mother Nature always is going to be a thorn in your side from time to time. And, if you look at historically weather patterns, last year was a good year, and about every 4 or 5 years with this region, you get a 10-month golfing season. And, last year was on that. And, my first year was on that, and, it's been up and down ever since. So, keep COVID out of here, keep other things away, and I think we're around the corner on that. I just heard, on the radio yesterday, they're talking about bringing concerts back in June. One of the largest concert purveyors said that they had talked to somebody, and it looks like June 21st for, I think, indoor or outdoor concerts to resume. And if that's the case, then I think we're off and running. So, I mean, that was kind of big news. I was kind of shocked to hear that, but And I guess they sold out like half of their schedule online when they heard that news, and they opened everything up yesterday. So it's a good sign.
Brian,
I think of what Florida's doing. I think of what Texas is doing, and I think some of the restrictions DeWine lifted. When he spoke yesterday, are certainly good for us and good for business.
Is President Joe Biden made the decision on Monday and made the announcement on Monday that thanks to another a pharmaceutical group that's going to in a cooperation with Johnson & Johnson, another pharmaceutical group, I believe it was Pfizer, might have been Merck, Sharp and Dohme, I'm not sure. Regardless, they're going to get together, and President Biden made the announcement on Monday that everyone should be able to have the vaccine by May. Does that bring into the play when it comes to determining where the green light should start? Does that announcement on Monday move the green light up a couple of months, or does it have no effect?
You know what? We're basically been subject to what the CDC and Governor DeWine's office has done. And as sports rolled out last year, different sports can open up at different times. We basically opened up those venues and those activities. And obviously, we're hopeful that it certainly changes. You look at last year and the numbers that we put up and the amount of play that we had, best year we've ever had. So I'm sort of biased on either way. We still ended up being good in this sport because it was outdoor. So I would love to have the restrictions lifted to where you can, when you're done with a golf outing, you don't have to do it to go, or you can all sit there and enjoy each other's camaraderie and visit with your friends at the end of a golf outing instead of turn your scorecard in, here's your 4-box lunches, we'll see you when we see you. So I think that's the nuances of the game that sort of got taken away. And obviously the camps, the clinics, the lessons, we haven't been able to do any of that. So it'd be nice to get all the folks that came back to the game after a 10 or 15-year hiatus, give them the opportunity to take lessons because they've been calling all year and are interested in. We just don't feel comfortable enough to be able to do that yet. So I think as that rolls out and as that continues to get better, I think you're going to see a lot of stuff be lifted, which is a great thing. It's the mask wearing and the plastic shield and everything that we've done, sterilizing the carts after every single round of golf is it's a lot of work, and we made it happen and didn't have any mishaps during the entire process, which was great because our staff, bought in. Hey, this is the protocols that we have to be open. Our customers, it took them a month to get comfortable with that. Some customers left credit cards on file because they didn't feel comfortable calling into the pro shop, so we could ring people in and email them their ticket for the starter. So we did so many different ways to make our operations tech savvy and safe, limit the contact points. And golf's a game where you've got built-in 6-foot spacing, so it made the game comfortable for everybody to the point where they didn't mind coming out in large numbers throughout the course of the year. So you're always hopeful that you're going to get back into what normal was and not having to wear a mask and being able to have a junior camp with 80 kids as opposed to not having any. The recreational aspect of our department. We've got soccer camps, we got deck hockey, and baseball, tennis, racquetball, archery, disc golf, you name it. They had everything ready to go last year and weren't able to open any of them. So we're hopeful that hopefully shortly and sooner the better, we're ready to rock and roll again. So it's like anything. My fingers are crossed just like everybody's, but we want to keep the momentum of what we had in the game of golf last year with 2 million new people coming to the game of golf. We want to keep them engaged and we want to retain them. So that's our biggest key as a staff this year, retention.
Well,
we want to make sure that everybody leaves here having a good time and that parlays into coming back.
I had an opportunity to go into your pro shop on Wednesday after I took my walk, and let me just say, boys and girls, your pro shop looked really, really good, and you guys have a lot of work to do because you were, a lot of stuff that needs to be, cleaned up, and a lot of, a lot of things that were needing to be in order for the pro shop and everything else to be opened up. But man, did your pro shop look good, Brian?
It's coming along good. We've spent pretty much all week, and we'll continue to spend the rest of the week doing inventory and pricing. And we've got a little construction project going on in our lobby and our hole 55 with new ceiling and some painting. So we've got a lot coming at the end of this week with that project starting. And, hopefully by the 15th of March, we'll be ready to go. And, we're still hopeful that the pro shop will be able to open on the 22nd. We'll be able to staff that and open the doors for anybody that wants to come in and look at the new product. But we're about halfway filled to where we want to be. A lot of stuff is still stuck in some containers down in that Houston area that got hit with the storm and the floods and the whole 9 yards. So we're still waiting for some stuff, as is everybody on this part of the country. But by that time, we should be ready to rock and roll. At least I hope we are anyway. So it's been good. But thank you.
The most exciting thing about golf coming back is we're going to get season 2 of Brian Tolnar's tips pamphlet, and season 2 is going to not disappoint.
I think so, and I think that's it's a nice way for us to feature what we do as a staff professionally and giving lessons and to be able to share some of that, make folks think about golf and then implement that during your round, or whether that turns into coming and taking a lesson or being in one of the golf schools or the camps or the clinics, across the scope of the summer. It's something that we certainly like talking about, and we like people to enjoy themselves the most that they can. Golf's a hard game. It's easy to get frustrated, and we want everybody that comes here to leave, once they're done with their round, come in, have a hamburger, have a libation, relax, maybe hit some balls after your round, chip and putt. We want to make the place fun, and that's all part of it. So if it's giving a tip online, or it's putting a book together, which we've talked about for a little bit, or doing a golf specific show, it's something that we think is a large part of growing the game of golf and retaining the folks that continue to play and support us here at Mill Creek.
Anthony brought up an interesting point, because I had asked you, and you kind of gave a tip while we were talking on Wednesday, while you were showing me the pro shop. I had made mention that I can't get my golf ball in the air. No matter how hard I try, can't seem to get the golf ball in the air, whether it's off the tee or in the fairway, or in my case in the rough, or somewhere way the hell away from the fairway. I just can't put my golf ball in the air, and you gave me a logical tip and a logical reason why I couldn't put my golf club or golf ball in the air.
And I think that's part of it too. I mean, I think getting the golfer to understand the golf swing. I'll be quite honest with you. When I started taking up the game, I didn't start playing until I was probably 14 or 15, maybe the year before my freshman year in high school, and was fortunate enough to make the golf team, which was a hard golf team to qualify for at the time at Hubbard. And we had a great run, and won a title every year that I was there, and got to go to state, got to go to districts and sectionals a bunch of times, which is phenomenal to be able to do that. And I got lucky to be able to play, and we had a golf professional at what used to be Hubbard Golf Course, which is now Pine Lake, that basically would say, "Hey, come up here if you shag for my lessons. I'll look at your swing and I'll work with you a little bit." But just starting out, as an amateur or a younger golfer, it's hard to understand all the dimensions of the golf swing. So, one of the things that we try to teach is, the very, very basics. Break it down as simple as you could possibly can. Because the stuff that I recall from some of that, I don't really remember, and I didn't understand the golf swing well enough to take advantage of what I was being taught. So it's very important, that when that entry-level player comes in here, that they understand what's going on, why you hold the club a certain way, why you square your shoulders, feet, knees, and hips up to a certain target line, and the importance of all of that. So I think there's a lot to be said with that, and the simpler you can make it, the better I think it is. And I've always been, I've gotten the most from golf lessons that I've taken as a player from people who keep it very, very simple. 1, 2, 3 things tops, and it's usually a setup before you swing the club and one thing in your swing that you're concentrating on. I think if you're thinking of too much stuff, your head gets clogged, and then that's when it becomes irritating, and it becomes like work as opposed to this is a recreational opportunity. This is to get you out to walk in the park and relax. Yeah, you're hitting a golf ball, but it's fun to be able to be out there with your friends and your buddies, and it's fun to be able to play decent. And I think if folks taught the very, very basics, I think it makes the game of golf a whole lot easier than the thoracic spine and your hip flexors and your, ankle rotation, and it gets bogged down. And I think if you keep it basic on, hey, we're working on shoulder turn, we're trying to get your shoulder underneath your chin, it's a lot easier to say that than, some technology and the kinesiology of your body as it relates to the golf swing. I mean, basics, and very simple technology go a long way.
Hey, Brian, always a pleasure. We'll catch up next week, and hopefully we'll be talking about how much money we made.
Yeah, you got it. I'm still working on that lunch.
There you go. Yeah, I appreciate that, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Always a pleasure. Yes, sir. Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek. And, man, I'll tell you what, I had so much fun going through his pro shop last week. I had a lot of fun walking on the golf carts. Holy smokes, are those things gorgeous. I mean, I had to maneuver around some ice chunks and whatnot, but oh, man, those golf carts are gorgeous. And they did a really nice job.
Well, the golf carts look good, but I think you meant the golf path.
The golf cart path.
The golf carts.
The golf carts look great. The golf cart path looks gorgeous. I mean, it was just absolutely phenomenal. But like I said, I had to dodge a few ice chunks along the way. But now weather's, knock on wood, the weather's gotten really good.
Good thing you were better at dodging ice chunks than the Titanic was.
Yeah, no kidding. That was. That was tough. That was tough. Iceberg ahead. Yeah, well, this one's gonna hurt. kind of like the Bills in the AFC Championship game. Iceberg ahead. Yeah. We can't move this thing around.
Tony would call in. He would say that the iceberg was holding them. So.
Well.
Whatever.
It was kind of a big iceberg. That's all I'm going to say. Rob Schmidt will be calling in the show at 2:00, and we'll put a wrap on the YSU basketball season. Unfortunately, they stalled again in the quarterfinals, which is a darn shame because Wright State got upset last night, and Northern Kentucky beat Detroit. And Cleveland State had to go into triple overtime before they got a victory. Cleveland State looks to be in really, really good shape to be the team coming out of the Horizon League to go into the tournament. And man, YSU had their chances. They were down most of the nights, down by double digits a few times. But boy, they got it together and had a lead late in regulation. Couldn't hold on to the lead. Had a chance to win the game in regulation. Oakland laid down some serious defense. But all in all, good season by the Penguins. I just hope when the season gets going again, number one, that COVID will be kicked to the curb and we'll have a full 2021-2022 season. And then having said that, I really hope that all of these guys come back next year. Because you have that opportunity. This was a mulligan, as we continue with our golf theme. This was a mulligan for the Penguins basketball team. But I get the feeling that not everyone's going to be coming back next year.
I don't think so. I mean, it's just you might get the majority of them, but there's going to be one or two that just decide, they've had enough of basketball. They have careers waiting or whatever it may be. And they need to step away.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many of those kids decide to come back. Same thing with the women. And the women had it far worse than the men did. They had a couple of bouts of COVID. It was a really, really strange basketball season for the YSU women. And again, John Barnes will have, hopefully, everyone coming back next year. And boy, he's got a really good team. Just like the men, the women have a really good team coming back.
While we were on with Brian Tolnar, our buddies at WFMK, our partners, also broke the news that Farrell product Malachi Newell is leaving the YSU football program.
Yes. So. Yeah, he was a Bo Pelini recruit, and he does not want to stick around. And okay, that's that.
We knew that people would enter the transfer.
Absolutely,
it's inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this climate, and so.
With a new coach coming in, you really aren't sure where your standing on what's kind of solid ground with the new coach. You were recruited by the previous coach. You could get a little interesting there, and Malachi believes that he can be better suited somewhere else. Hey, that's fine. That's why the transfer portal is where it is, and I'm sure he will not be the only person that leaves Youngstown State who was recruited by Coach Pelini. I'm sure there will be other guys that will follow, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. So. He wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time in his position, so we wish him the best. Definitely wish him the best. Speaking of YSU, they're home to Southern Illinois on Saturday, and I saw the forecast, which I'm not buying until tomorrow, because my theory is you don't buy any forecast till it's about 2 days away. But if the temperature is right, I'm going to be wearing gloves on Saturday.
YSU is hoping for a hangover day. For Southern Illinois.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not like.
Yeah, I was like.
You looked at me like I meant.
I was like, what the heck?
YSU's still in the back.
Well, what are they going to go out on Friday night and have a good old time and then come play the game on a hangover? What are we talking about there? And then it dawned on me. Oh yeah, the Salukis did beat the crap out of the Bison.
So if they come in feeling themselves a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, hey, hopefully they do.
YSU's defense can shut them down enough for that offense to keep going.
Hopefully the YSU offense can come up with some points. 7 points in 2 games is not very good.
That ain't it, bro.
Nah, that's one of those situations.
Oh, maybe they don't need to slow down though. So they need to speed. Whatever the opposite of this is, do it.
Oh well, it's certainly not this, because there's nothing good about 7 points in 2 games. Hopefully the offense shows up on Saturday against the Salukis. We're going to talk.
Saluki?
I have no idea.
And
I believe that.
Picture that logo in my mind.
I believe it is the cross between a dog and a. I don't want to say a prairie dog. What is the step up from a dog?
Coyote?
A wolf?
Coyote.
Wolf. Yeah, one of I don't know what.
We'll do some research on the break.
Yeah, I might be wrong, completely way off base on this. I didn't live in the southern part of Illinois. That's the hillbilly section of Illinois.
Whoa.
Yeah, Carbondale should have probably been given to the south. Those people down there are a little goofy. Just leave it at that. Not as cultured as the people.
And our Carbondale listeners just went.
Yeah, not as cultured as the people in Springfield and Chicago and the Chicagoland area.
Here come the letters from Carbondale.
Yeah, well, those Carbondale people.
I'm checking our email right now.
Yeah, the Carbondale listeners are boycotting this show. We'll take a time out. Rob Schmidt coming up in a bit. Stick around.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
High-res Futurecast shows steady snow for the next few hours.
Still just downright cold.
It is bitter out there.
Several strong bands of lake effect snow.
Winds is kind of the big story today as well.
So if you need a more detailed winter forecast on WFMJ.com and the Storm Tracker 21 app.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig, and joining us as he does every Wednesday at this time. Unfortunately, it's the season-ending version of our little get-together. The voice of the YSU men's basketball program, Rob Schmidt. Mr. Schmidt, how are you today?
Oh, we've been better. A little disheartened today, a little disappointed, a little sad.
Yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow. Now, let me just preface all of this by Youngstown State could have very easily folded their tent and gone home when they were down double digits in both the first half as well as the second half. But this Penguin team was bound and determined to get their last laugh, and they had a lead late in the regulation. Oakland tied the game up. Penguins had the ball with 18 seconds left in regulation. Oakland put down some solid D. Penguins couldn't get off a really good shot, and in overtime, Oakland jumped on them.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. I think really what kind of come out of that game is very similar. You're down. They were down 10 in the first half and went on a really good run to tie the game at 36, and then only trailed by 1 at half. So, that was encouraging that they had gotten themselves back in the game by halftime to only be down 1. And then, Oakland gets off to a really good start to begin the second half by going on a 13-4 run, and they get the lead back up to 10 again. And, the tough thing about that run was it really ignited Rashad Williams, because during that 13-4 run, he hit 5 free throws. And a lot of times with shooters, when they're struggling, the way for them, and I've seen it numerous times, for them to get going is get them to the free throw line. And, a couple of bad fouls, and he gets to the free throw line and scores 5 of those 13 points at the stripe. And now he gets rolling offensively, and eventually, he proved to be the difference in the game, at least in regulation. But you're right. I thought when our guys went behind by 11 on 2 separate occasions in the second half, that was a turning point, because Oakland could have easily gotten a stop and a basket, and all of a sudden now the lead could have gotten to 18, and our guys buckled down and didn't allow that to happen. In fact, the second time they went behind by 11, they went on an 11-point run to tie the game at 62, and that's when Rashad Williams hit 3 threes and got them back out to a lead. Even down 71-66, I wasn't overly optimistic. I didn't feel our guys were out of it by any stretch. I didn't expect a 7-0 run that saw us go up 73-71, and they only led. As you look back on it, there's just so many things that could have gone either way, and obviously, the YSU men could have won last night, and we all feel that they should have won. But when you look at it, they led 6-2, they led 8-7, and they led 73-71, and that's it in regulation. We got a break when a charge against Bohannon was overturned and ended up being a basket and a free throw to put us up by 2. And then they tie it and come right back to make it 73-all. If they don't make that shot, we get the rebound. You don't have to worry about a last-second shot. Everything changes. I know Coach Calhoun in the post-game news conference mentioned that they wanted to get some action going, get to the rim with about 6 seconds to go, get the ball up on the rim. If Darius or whomever doesn't make the shot, then Covington or Akuche is there for a putback. So I don't know where the plan went wrong. I don't know if it's Oakland's defense that just kept Darius out around midcourt and never gave him a chance to initiate the offense. But that's the disheartening thing is you're going to work the clock regardless of how much time is left once the shot clock was turned off. but to not get a good shot from 15 feet in when you have an opportunity to work an offensive play is disheartening. And then in overtime, we get a 3 from Darius, they come back. Trey Townsend, of all people, hits a 3 for Oakland. If that thing's, 2 inches one way, 2 inches another, he misses, and maybe we get the rebound and everything changes. We go back up 78-76 and they score. So it was a phenomenal. I'm really, proud of how hard the guys played. They deserved a better fate than what they got last night.
I couldn't watch the game. I was working myself. We had a regional semifinal in Cuyahoga Falls. But I was the Twitter updates, I saw 71-66, they were down, and then all of a sudden that big play that you discussed in your last statement about Naj Bohannon's charge being overturned and him getting an and one to go up 73-71. Tell me about this defensive possession after taking that lead, and was it just a good offensive play from Oakland to get the tying shot? Was it a kind of defensive breakdown? What kind of went? Because I feel like that's a big momentum boost to cap off a 7-0 run with that big and one that gets overturned. So I imagine that's a point in the game when the Penguins really needed to kind of take the momentum and finish the game off. So talk about that last defensive possession and kind of how it went down for Oakland tying the game up.
Yeah, that was was a difficult thing, and as we're talking about it now, I'm trying in my mind to even remember how they scored on that play. But I know that Oladapo is a real force inside for Oakland. I'm trying to remember now, Anthony, exactly how that play went down. I'm going to get it here for you in a second, because I'm sure it'll refresh my memory as soon as I look at the call. But you're right. You're up 73-71, and they're able to come right back and tie it. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I was right. Okay, so, yeah, and that's what it was. It was Oladapo. So Daniel Oladapo makes a layup, and he's a big physical player. And, he's much like Nas, maybe a little bit bigger. He shoots a high percentage, but it's because he's always around the basket. And we just didn't get him away from the basket. Jalen Moore found him, and they quickly tied the game. So, that was the thing that they were able to tie the game so quickly after we went up 73-71. So, we take that lead, and as I look at the play-by-play here, 13 seconds later, they come back and tie it. So that was the difficult thing. Now, if you want to really go back and look, Oakland's gotten the ball. We turned it over with 55 seconds to go, game tied at 73. We always focus as what's been on my mind, obviously, in the last 18 seconds, but let's go back a little bit now. And after they had tied it at 73, we turn it over, and Jalen Moore misses a shot with 28 seconds to go, and we grab the rebound. So, in essence, Jalen Moore, who iced the game in overtime with a couple of key drives to the basket, if he makes that, everything changes. It was a bizarre circumstance that I just don't understand, how we didn't get to the basket, how things didn't unfold, maybe the way they drew it up. And that's, I said to some people, you could have tolerated the loss if it was Oakland that had the ball with 18 seconds, didn't get off a shot, and then turned around and still won the game in overtime. Because, Oakland could have won it in regulation. They still won it in overtime. It might have taken away some of the sting, but to know that we had an opportunity to win that thing in overtime as well as the guys played down the stretch, I think is the disheartening thing.
Rob Schmidt, the voice of the YSU men's basketball team, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. There was a first last night in the basketball game, and it's surprising all the years of doing YSU basketball and all the years that YSU has played basketball, we've never seen a triple-double in the history of Youngstown State University. Naz Bohannon did that last night. Bohannon had 14 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. A triple-double for Naz Bohannon. And if this was his last game, what a great way to to leave the program. Now, hopefully, being that this was the Mulligan year, hopefully Bohannon does come back. But if he doesn't, that's a heck of a good way to get out with the first and only triple-double in YSU history.
No, you're right. That really epitomized, guys, his career here at Youngstown State. We've talked about it before. He's become such a good passer at the high post, and he's run the offense before. He'll run the point and initiate offense. So for Nas to be able to come up with that triple-double last night, I thought was a great way to epitomize how much hard work he's put into this, how much he's meant to this program. And despite not getting a win and advancing to the semifinals, for him to shine like that, I thought was fitting and truly, shows everybody the kind of kid he is and how much hard work he's put into it. What a great basketball player. He'll go down in the annals of basketball history here at YSU as one of the best to have ever played here. His name will come up, whether he comes back next year or not. Nas left a lasting impression on a lot of people around here, and last night was another example. And, not to be outdone, we always talk about Darius and Nas and, Akuche and Garrett Covington, I thought over the last month and a half played as well as anybody on that team. He has 30 points last night, did a lot of it with 4 fouls on him. He got in some foul trouble in the first half because, one, he had an offensive foul and then got a defensive foul trying to keep Jalen Moore under wraps. Garrett just has been so unassuming in his career as well. And that's another kid that could come back, could move on. They were just such a straight cornerstone since Jared Calhoun came in here as the head coach. Those were guys that you penciled into the starting lineup. You knew what you were going to get. Some nights you might get a little less. Some nights you may get a little bit more, like last night. But they're such hard workers and they're good kids, and you really wish them all the best. And to see them both play so hard last night and achieve so much and lose is another disheartening thing. When you follow these players and you want to see them succeed on the court, and when they play that hard and lose, that eats at you. But they both gave it their all last night. They shouldn't be. There's no reason they should feel ashamed or anybody on that team with the outcome of the game as hard as they played, from start to finish last night.
Probably way too early to ask this question, but is there any sense on what players are more likely to stay and what players might be leaning the other way when it comes to who's coming back and who's not?
Well, Anthony, it's difficult. This next month and a half will be very interesting. I'm sure the coaches will meet with the players. I don't expect, like Green Bay, as soon as their season ended, the next day, 2 of their top players went to the portal. And now they've had 4 players go to the portal overall within a week. I don't necessarily expect that. I think our guys will take some time, talk to the coaches. I would hope everybody would return, make another run at this thing. But obviously, for someone like a Garrett Covington who's going to graduate, maybe he wants to do more in his life. Nas Bohannon now, maybe there's more out there for these guys. I don't know how much I know they love the game. Do they feel that 1 year in the sun is really what they want because there is no professional step? So let's go have one more day in the sun and then come back for one more run through this league. I would hope that's their mindset, but I don't know. I would think this next month and a half will be very telling.
Obviously, Jared Calhoun, this is his entire team. Every single person that is on this club was recruited by Jared Calhoun, and I'm sure that Jared will have the conversation with every single one of these kids, and we'll get a better gauge. My concern, if there is a player that could very well leave the program, is Darius Quisenberry.
Well, I think everybody felt that way. Even after last season, there was some rumblings that, maybe he would look to transfer and bump up his game and try to go to a little bit higher mid-major, the Atlantic 10. Could he be fortunate enough to get to the Big East? What would be his possibilities? He's worked hard at his game. He's tried to figure out how to improve his game. The injury really set him back. And not the ankle so much. Remember, he didn't start the season either. He had been coming off wrist surgery. They took a cyst out of his wrist, and it set him back a little bit. And he really couldn't get his shot down to begin the year. and then he turns the ankle against WVU Tech, and that set him back, and he misses 9 games. So, I don't know if he feels he has some unfinished business here. Is he looking ahead at his future? He's got a bright future, regardless of what he does, whether it's, on the court professionally or in the business world professionally. He's a talented player, smart kid. So I think the coaches always felt maybe in the back of their mind that he could be a kid that would graduate early and then transfer out. He's graduating at the end of this semester, so he's got some options to weigh. I think he's a great fit at this level of mid-major basketball. And my whole thing is, I've always told recruits when they come in here, if you go to the right program, it may not be the top of the mountain, but you can have a really nice career, make some great memories, and walk out of here with some records and maybe a number retired and always come back and be revered. Or you could go play somewhere like in Florida, sit and only play 10 minutes a game and be an afterthought. I don't know where their mind's at. I would hope that, they would have an allegiance here, but, they're going to do what's best for them, and their parents will talk to them, and I know Coach Calhoun and the staff will talk to them.
When you kind of reflect on this season and the ups and downs, and there were definitely ups and downs, what are some of the takeaways you can really take from this Penguin season and what they've been able to do?
Well, I think you finally saw, the seniors step up and take ownership of this basketball team. Early in the year, I think COVID knocked them back, and maybe they weren't playing, to the level that they were expected to play. But, boy, the second half of the season, when they ended up winning, 6 of their last 7 of 8, and when they started that run after the sweep of Robert Morris, those guys, and by those guys I'm saying Bohannon, Covington, Akuche, and I'll include, guys like Quisenberry, Hamperian, those guys that were the staples, the guys that were supposed to be the leaders. I thought they all played exceptionally well, and it was good to see those guys. If they're going to go out, make sure they left it on the floor and didn't disappoint with their effort. I thought it was encouraging to see a couple of the freshmen. I think Shamar Rattan-Mays is going to have a good career. I think Miles Hunter has some potential and could be a really good basketball player. I thought a couple of kids, learned what college is all about and the speed of the game, and we'll see them take the step from a freshman year to the second year in Alex Vargo and a Will Dunn and Sheikh Traore and some of those guys. So I was encouraged with the foundation that's still here. And just each year, how we try to become a little bit more respected in the Horizon League and a little bit more thought of as a contender instead of a team that you really don't have to think about. And maybe the preseason ranking at number 2 was a bit high, but I think the way the team was playing at the end of the year was truly indicative of how good they could be and the dangerous team that they nearly were as they fell short of going to Indianapolis.
Rob, with this year being the Mulligan year, what does that do with recruiting? Because you really don't have, at least on paper, no one needs to leave the program. If they don't want to, they don't have to leave the program. What does this do for recruiting? And in light of President Biden's announcement a couple of days ago in that every American will be able to get the vaccine by May, is this a great sign leading us to believe that we will have a full basketball season in 2021-2022?
Yeah, I got to think you're going to see a full schedule next year. We play, the YSU men play 25 games. You were only allowed to play a maximum of 25 in the regular season if you did not partake in one of the MTEs, one of the exempt tournaments, one of those multi-team exempts, which Oakland did play in, which is why they played 27. I think you go back to a full schedule of 29 games, maybe 31 if you can host an exempt. Hopefully that's where we're at come November of this year when the next basketball season rolls around. But it's a good question about recruiting. They've already signed 3 individuals for the upcoming class. I still don't know. You still don't know which players are coming back, which players, may go elsewhere, which players may graduate. Christian Bentley's a senior. He's set to graduate. Does he come back? Does he feel the need to, move on with his life? Jameer Thomas is coming off a knee injury. How will that knee be? Does he want to go through rehab and fight his way back into a starting lineup? So there's a lot of questions. But, yeah, I think, maybe not this year's recruiting class since they're already signed, but, recruiting classes to come. Yeah, I think this whole give me back year could change the landscape, for the next couple of years in how you try to build your team.
The other thing that's good about hopefully everyone getting the vaccine by May is I imagine this will open up the summer camp possibilities for this team and get them back to getting respective recruits in the gym and being able to do that.
Yeah, and that's one thing they harped upon was not having that extra individual time with each of the newcomers and kind of getting them acclimated to the game. I know there's some high schools around here that had an opportunity to be practicing in the summer, and I think it helped them, as the way their season has gone. So, our guys miss that, and those are still some of the questions, but there's no doubt. If you can get, all the extra work that you could put in over the summer is going to help and maybe balance out the negativity of this year that you didn't have that option and pay tenfold next year.
Rob, it was a fun year, and obviously there's the potential to do it all again next year, and with hopefully a full season, there could be that ultimate dream of getting into the NCAA tournament could very well be realized. Personally, I hope that as many of these kids as humanly possible stick around and understand that there's unfinished business. Hopefully everyone is going to be on board with the unfinished business mantra and take that as we lick some serious wounds from last night, and hopefully this gets everyone in the right frame of mind when we get at it again in November.
Yeah, no, I mean, a couple of things, Ron. You're right. I mean, each season, whether it ends, in disappointing fashion, or you're happy with the way it ends, because you're building for the future, so you end strong and you feel confident where you're moving. Each season carries on a lot of great memories, and this is just another one of those years. The buzzer beater that beats Wright State on national television. You beat Northern Kentucky on television. You had an opportunity, to really make a push, in the final 6 weeks of the regular season, and it just being able to play a whole year with COVID. There were a lot of special memories. It wasn't one of those normal years where everybody was kind of together. The players and coaches were separate. The travel party wasn't as big as it normally is. Jamie Hall and myself weren't included. With that, didn't get a chance to maybe be as close to the players as years past, but saw some really good basketball. I think the game at Binghamton is always a memorable win. We come back from down double figures to figure that win out. There's some disappointments along the way, but I'm always proud of the kids, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they represent the university. It's just fun to kind of be around them, and you always pull for them. You're disheartened as a fan, but you really feel bad for the kids. They're the ones that put the time in, and you want to see them succeed. It's a great group of guys, and you always wish them the best. There's nobody on that team, nobody that I wouldn't, if I had an opportunity, have them come live at my house. They're great individuals. There isn't anybody I'd ever shy away from not wanting to be around them or become a friend of theirs eventually. Great group of guys, and that's the saddening thing, when a year like this comes to an end.
And, I think the most important thing is off-season food. We have to talk about food. It's how we end every interview. So, off-season food and what we're going to do to feed Mr. Schmidt in the off-season.
Yeah, have I not taught this kid well? And it's all about the food with us, Schmidt. I mean, seriously, it's all about the food. I've taught this kid well. You have brought a tear to my eye, young man. Thank you very much.
I love that, dude. Anthony, you're all right with me, buddy. You're all right with me. I appreciate it. You able to bring a smile to my face today is a job well done. That's a huge accomplishment Yeah, it was. It's one of those odd years where we were on our own. Robert Morris was simply drive up, drive back. Cleveland State was simply drive up, drive back. Didn't really have an opportunity, to stay anywhere that we normally do as fans and go out on the town. So that took a little bit of the luster away, if you will, from traveling this season. Best meal, though, I don't know if I can think quick enough on my feet to give you a best meal scenario. I mean, other than maybe a couple of chains.
Montgomery Inn is always.
They did a great job, and they brought that to me as carryout. That's always an award winner. The pizza I had last night really wasn't bad, guys. I got to tell you, Buddy's Pizza in Troy, Michigan, really wasn't that bad. The second time I had it, but yeah, I don't know. It was different this year. We didn't really. There weren't any team meals. They would get a little carryout and eat on their own in the room, and there wasn't any great team meals like we've had in the past on the road at Chicago or in Milwaukee. So I'm looking for brighter days ahead, Anthony. I'm looking for better days and better meals yet to come.
I'm just shaking my head at the blasphemy that you just said that Michigan pizza is somehow good.
It's pretty good.
You said it wasn't that bad. I mean, there's a difference between it was good and it wasn't that bad.
I'm just blasphemy as far as I'm concerned. Blasphemy.
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad.
Maybe it was just the tears running down and the disappointment that made the pizza taste a little bit better. Give Rob some credit.
Last night, Cardboard would have tasted good. You're right.
Well played, sir. Well played.
To make pizza taste a lot better than it is.
Oh, Lordy. Rob, always a pleasure, and look forward to working with you this year, and look forward to doing more of the same next year, good Lord willing.
Guys, I want to thank you all for your support and your help and allowing me to come on and blabber at the mouth about YSU men's basketball. I love it, enjoy it, and I really want to thank you for your support and all that you've done to help promote, not just men's basketball, but all of the sports here at YSU. So I do thank you for that. Ron, you did a great job. I've told several people. I've got a lot of positive comments about your work and how, we've been able to kind of team up together on the home broadcasts. And I can't thank you enough for all that you've done and the work that you put in and making our broadcast better. So I do appreciate it, buddy. You did a great job.
You pay enough people and they'll say good things about you. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I'm one of those guys. I'll say good things about you every day of the week.
Well, that's because I pay you under the table. I mean, come on, let's be honest, Rob. And I pay you to be my friend. I mean, I have no friends in life. I have to pay you to be my friend. That's where all my money goes.
You don't have to pay me anything. I'm your guy.
Hey, always a pleasure, sir. Look forward to catching up with you on Saturday when the YSU football team plays the Salukis. By the way, Anthony and I are wondering, what the hell is a Saluki?
It is a racing dog. It's like a whippet. It's a real thin, long dog. It's there's a school here in Ohio called the Shelby Whippets, and that's exactly what a Saluki is. Just a long-nosed, long-faced dog, very thin. I think it's in the Greyhound family, if I'm not mistaken.
I was right. I had said a
dog. It was a cross between a dog and a wolf.
Well, I mean, they could be. I mean, distant cousin. I don't know, but at least I was right with the dog part.
It is a dog, yes.
All righty.
It is a dog.
All righty, sir. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Thanks, guys.
While we're talking about logos and confusion, do you have any idea why Wright State's logo is a dog when they're the Raiders? No. Okay.
It's a great thing. I
just have
don't
always
know
wondered
why, because their other logo at Wright State, the one that the campus uses, is a biplane with the two Wright brothers standing at the base of the plane. So that's one logo that they use on letterhead and envelopes with the biplane. And then I don't know if they felt they needed a mascot, like they have a dog as a mascot, and that's what they felt they needed for their logo. But yeah, I don't know why they chose a dog. I don't know. I'd go with the biplane. I think it's a much better logo than the dog.
Even that, I mean,
dogs aren't. Yeah, it's not uncommon. It's not a unique mascot. You can make Pete. You can put Pete anywhere you want, and people. There's only one school that's got him. There's no other Penguins, and there's a lot of dogs out there. I'd go with the biplane.
Well,
maybe
listen,
it's not fierce enough.
Maybe someone will put a biplane mascot together where someone can get into that thing and Just go from there.
Easy. It might not be. Maybe it's not scary enough.
Have a little Snoopy plane going
something.
across the court.
Well, if the dog's name was Snoopy, it would make sense. But the dog's name isn't Snoopy, from what I understand.
Doesn't make sense that they're the Raiders. I don't understand.
Yeah,
the dog.
it's weird. I'm not quite sure I get that. So I guess all dogs are lovable, except for the Wright State dog. And good to see them lose last night, by the way. That was.
Yeah, I know that I got a couple of seconds here, but obviously we're disappointed here at Youngstown State. But the way both the men's and women's basketball seasons came to an end last night. But boy, if you're Wright State and you blow a 24-point lead at home with 6 minutes to go, you blow an 18-point lead at home with 5 minutes to go, you blow an 8-point lead at home with under a minute to go, that's disheartening. And the way Detroit Mercy was bounced from the tournament on a tap-in on the third try by Northern Kentucky to beat the buzzer, that's an awful way to go. So, it was a tough night for the losers. Even Purdue-Fort Wayne should have beat Cleveland State. Cleveland State goes to triple overtime on a banked-in three by Aljamain Eichelberger, of all people. So, just a bizarre night in the league. It gained them a lot of national notoriety, and we're not the only ones that could have won, should have won, and end up being brokenhearted in the end.
Yeah, and Cleveland State's smiling like a butcher's dog right now because their path to the championship just got a whole lot easier.
Sure did. It sure did. You give Dennis Gates a lot of credit. In 2 years, he's got that team on the cusp of a NCAA tournament bid.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Rob, always a pleasure, sir.
All right, thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.
See ya. Rob Schmidt, the voice of the YSU men's basketball program. We'll get Dre Smith on tomorrow to talk about the women losing to Milwaukee last night as well. So both the men and the women were defeated. Their seasons are over. We are now officially into the spring sports. I guess we're into the spring sports at YSU, along with some of the fall sports as well. So fall and spring kind of combining now because of COVID.
Everything. I think women's soccer and volleyball are both playing, and softball and baseball are getting kicked up. And it's going to be a fun time in the next couple months for YSU.
Yeah, no question about that. All right, we're going to take a timeout, be back with more. It is a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Local teams are heating up the hardwoods, and you can keep up with all the action on and off the court with Five Guys Hoop News all season long on 21 Sports.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig. Who knew that we had a mascot connoisseur among us?
Quinn came in with the hot knowledge about the Wright State history and why they have a wolf as their logo.
I got to be honest, I was impressed.
So
I'm looking at this going, okay, someone did their homework.
Here's the gist. They used to have a Viking as a part of their logo, and they wanted a more gender neutral type of mascot to put on their logo, so they picked the wolf. So
there you go.
I guess every Raider's got to have a trusty dog, right?
I would have said a sea creature or a parrot. You know, because
you can't put
a raider or a pirate, the same thing. You know, you got the parrot because how many dogs are in a boat or you know doing their thing on a pirate ship or a raider ship, if you will?
No idea.
No,
apparently the wolves were hot.
Yeah. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's I would have gone with a parrot, but you could have also marketed it as Buffett Night. Buffett Night on a college campus, you would have. I don't think
parrots strike fear in the hearts of your opponents quite like a wolf would.
Well, I mean, it depends on who the voice of the parrot is.
If it's
James Earl Jones as the voice of the parrot, I'm going to be.
But if it's
I'm going to be a little nervous here.
Oh, I'm going to need help with the name. Who's the Aladdin parrot?
Oh, that would have been Gilbert Gottfried.
If it's him,
yeah,
then that's not going to strike fear in anybody.
You don't think that this parrot isn't going to be making any noise? I scare a lot of people these days. He scares a lot of people with a lot of different things Gilbert Gottfried did back in the day. It's a little scary, but wasn't he at one point the Aflac bird, and then he got into all kinds of trouble.
They pulled the Aflac ad right from under him.
Yeah, I don't even know what he did, but he did something so stupid that they were like, Yeah, you're done with the Affleck thing. I don't know if he and Nick Saban would have been able to work together anyway.
Probably not.
Yeah.
He got a new duck.
Yeah. So it's and the duck is a Gilbert Gottfried knockoff. Let's be honest. I mean, he pretty much has the same manners and the same noise and the same irritating as hell voice, and it works because Saban's irritating as hell. So both of them on a commercial at the same time.
I'm taking shots today.
I'm just saying, he was nice when he won 1 or 2 championships. Now he's just an irritating old man because you've won 5 or 6 of them. It's kind of like Brady. You're an irritating old man now. Walk off the stage, please. You don't need to do any more. By the way, did you hear? I was listening as I was frantically driving down the highway, and I won't say how fast I was going.
Well, frantically gives most people an idea of how fast you're going.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say how fast I was going because I don't want to incriminate myself, but I was listening to Dan Patrick on my way down here. And apparently after Tampa Bay won their Super Bowl, and Tom Brady was giving his older son from his first marriage to Bridget Moynihan, who's on Blue Bloods, who is absolutely gorgeous. He gives his son a hug, and then he gives he and Giselle's kids a hug. And apparently Giselle had the nerve to look at him and say, after it was all over with, he's excited as hell, and she's like, "You really don't have much to prove now. Can we get you to retire so you don't have to do this anymore?"
She's been trying to get him to retire for a while.
Yeah, I'm just like,
She's like, "Honey, I'm sick of watching the kids on my own for 6 months out of the year. You're done."
I would have, and I don't know if his marriage is stable enough to do this, but I would have sat back and said, I can still do my thing in a worldwide, pretty good. You're getting older. So if anyone's going to be retiring, it's going to be you because you're in a young person's game, and compared to my industry, you're in a really young person's game.
That is why Ron Podesta is no longer married.
This is true. This is why I spent a lot of time sleeping on a couch when I was married, because I didn't know when to stop.
Should have shut up, Ron.
I didn't know when to shut up. 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. I mean, yeah, I would just sat back and said, no offense, I can still do my game and be a really, really good quarterback at 42, 43, whatever the hell Brady is.
45, right? No, he's 44. 44?
I don't know how old he is,
Quinn,
but
you're the.
Brigitte is not Bridget Moynihan. What's the woman's name?
Hey, just messing us all up.
Crap, the name just went out from under me. Anyway, his current wife, very successful. She makes a crap load more money.
Not the current wife.
No, his current wife is the supermodel, Giselle.
Yeah, okay.
Giselle is getting up in age as well. And let's be honest, you can be 42 years of age and win a Super Bowl if you have a ridiculous amount of talent around you, which Brady did this year. 42 years old being a supermodel, I'm just saying there's a better chance at a 42-year-old quarterback winning a Super Bowl than a 30-some-odd, high 30s supermodel.
You can find a job Vanna White's like 55, and she's still doing her thing at Wheel of Fortune, which really her only job is to do this.
Well, she's actually in her 60s.
In her 60s, see?
Yeah.
Giselle will be fine.
Well, I think Giselle will be fine, but if anyone's going to retire, it's going to be Giselle. It's not going to be Brady.
You can't retire being a mom, Ron. Stay-at-home mom is
but I would.
And Giselle's sick of it.
Well, she's I would sit back and say, hey, look, I'll drop the kids off at school, and that's before practice because I'm still playing.
Practice.
and he won't drop the Allen Iverson line of we're talking practice. That's not going to happen.
That's hard about a game.
That's why Iverson never won a championship because he had that thought about practice.
Didn't have almost anything around him, but
well, that's true too.
Except Eric Snow. That's about it.
Eric Snow wasn't a bad player.
That's about.
Let me ask you, who would you have rather had?
Look at
and Yeah, Quinn, just the basketball mind just went. You got to be kidding me with that comment. Who would you rather have? Alan.
As you said, Eric Snow's not that bad. I see Quinn in the corner of my eye just go.
Well, he wasn't that bad. I mean, he wasn't good, but he wasn't that bad. I mean, good in comparison to NBA. He just schooled all of us on the basketball floor. Who would you rather have in your starting lineup as your guard, Allen Iverson or Isaiah Thomas? And I'm talking about the Piston Isaiah Thomas, not the Boston Celtic turned Cleveland Cavalier. Ouch, my hip hurts. Get me out of Cleveland, Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, that's not even that's the no-brainer for me. I'd rather have Isaiah. I love AI and I love his game, but Isaiah Thomas is crazy good.
It also depends on what kind of team you want. I mean, AI could pretty much get a shot from wherever he wanted on the floor. Isaiah Thomas was probably a better distributor.
Yeah.
Point guard per se. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd rather have
if
Isaiah.
You say here's two of your players, I'd be like, give me both.
Yeah, I'm not stupid. Give me both.
Give me both.
Give me both guys. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no wrong answer there.
No, it's but I think that Isaiah Thomas, given all the shenanigans that he did toward the tail end of the Bad Boys era, he was still a very underrated and underappreciated point guard.
It's probably one of the better short point guards that we've ever seen.
Well, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Speaking of short, Terry Francona's kid making comments. I have to say this, and we made mention of this yesterday, and it irritated. Yeah, you weren't here yesterday. It irritated me when I read the comments, but I thought about it some more, and now it's just flat out pissed me off. You don't air your family's dirty laundry on social media. And for Francona's kid to sit back and go, I don't have a great relationship with my father, and proceeds, I should say, to run him over, put the bus in reverse, run him back over, put the bus back in drive, run him over again, and toot the horn down the highway and give him the howdy doody sign. I'm sorry, that's low class, low rent district baloney. You don't air your family's dirty laundry in social media. That smacked of classless and smacked of stupidity, all in one fell swoop.
I wish I knew what you're talking about, but
Nick Francona yesterday just ripped into his dad over what has gone on with the Indians, and basically said it's no secret I don't have a good relationship with my father, and these are one of the reasons why I don't understand how he can lie to people and blah blah blah. Wait a second, what are you doing? Why are you ripping your father and airing your discrepancies, your family issues on social media? I've never understood that. I just, that stuff is supposed to be private. We live in a world now where people have their Facebook and their Twitter and their whatever the hell else you use on social media, and you feel like it's people that, some people, not everyone, hopefully not everyone, some people feel it's their duty to air out their public or private business with their family. Get the hell out of here with that. There's no time and no place for family dirty laundry to be aired on social media. That to me is low rent district garbage. Just didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. And like I said, the Indians will have their. I'll be interested to see what happens. I don't think Francona's getting fired, nor do I think Antonetti's getting fired. But neither here nor there. We'll see what happens. I'm just glad baseball is starting, even though it's not gotten off to a really good start with Cleveland. I'm just glad that baseball's starting.
And we're already
start of the season, and we got controversy. Wow, that's nice. What are we, the New York Yankees now? All of a sudden, good Lord! Forget about the controversy for a second. The two kids that the Indians picked up in the Francisco Lindor trade to the Mets. I can't be lazy. I'm sorry. Rosario and Jimenez, both of these guys are hitting the absolute crap out of the ball and did a great job yesterday. So that was nice. What are you chuckling about over there?
Nothing at all.
What are you throwing landmines over there? Oh, Lord. All right. Well.
He just sent me a picture of what Eric Snow looks like now.
Uh-oh. Is he someone that I can beat one-on-one?
Yes.
Is he ballooned?
He's ballooned a little bit.
Oh, wow.
That would be an understatement.
I mean, is he bigger than me?
Maybe.
Oh, damn, that boy's fat then. And we ain't talking PHAT. Oh, dear God. What is he, carrying twins?
No, those are his tits.
My Lord. Man, I thought my stomach was bad. Jesus, he ought to open up his own bakery. He's got rolls. He got more chins than a Chinese phone book. I'm not saying the guy's fat, but if he wore heels, he'd strike oil. Jesus. 330-886-0813. That's disturbing. He used to be a professional athlete, and that's disturbing. All right, we'll take a timeout. I shouldn't talk. I mean, I'm not exactly svelte, but compared to him, I look like a friggin' bodybuilder. We're back after this timeout. Stick around.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local, independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Okay, before we vacate the premises, I have to shake my head in just utter disbelief. Anthony Hardwig had just informed me, you're not a spring training guy?
I mean, come on. The Royals' first game, they played 6 innings and won 3. I'm like...
Well, those rules are really stupid.
And then there's like these split squad games.
Yeah.
It's like...
Well, the split squad games are okay, but you're not playing 9 innings. I'm just like shaking my head going, really? What are we doing here?
Okay. The starters play for like 3 innings. It's like no one watches preseason NFL football games either.
Well, you have a point there.
I mean,
but
like, there's a lot more important things happening in sports right now than spring training.
No, I understand that.
So I don't have time to fit into spring training.
I understand that.
Plus, there's not a lot of ways to watch how to market spring training games.
Well, you can, use this and MLB TV is one way to do it. But
does that have spring training?
I believe that all the games are on. But no, I love spring training. Now, having said that, I kind of understand where you're going from, especially with YSN, where we were really, really busy with basketball. Now, not as much, even though we're still going to be pretty busy with basketball starting tomorrow night. By the way, good luck to the South Range boys. They're playing Pie Valley tonight, and then the Storm tomorrow with Division II district basketball. But, yeah, no, give me spring training baseball. Love going to Florida. I have never been to Arizona.
Starting up for me, and Georgia Tech baseball, which just swept NC State, who is number 8.
Oh, they're already in conference play.
Yeah,
nice.
So
I was wondering why you were decked out in the Danny Hall.
And we got
stuff.
These are hitting shirts.
I know this.
Back in the Russell days.
Yeah, I know this.
Adidas.
Yeah.
So
the Russell Athletic days.
Yeah.
Which might be a better product than that than
days.
Adidas.
The dark days before the dark times.
Even though I wear my Adidas shoes,
Before
the Russell Athletic might have been a better look than Adidas. I'm just saying.
I just wanted to see Quinn's reaction to that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's the same reaction as the Eric Snow wasn't a bad basketball player kind of reaction. All right, that'll do it for the show. DJ and the boys are doing Power Hour. That is coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. We're back at it tomorrow, noon to 3. And Dre Smith will put a period at the end of the YSU women's basketball season. Milwaukee defeating YSU 77-68, and we'll get into all kinds of stuff. We got basketball to.
A couple coaches confirmed, a couple coaches that we're trying to get, so we're going to have a fun day.
And we're going to kind of do boys and girls basketball all in one fell swoop.
Breaking the rules a little bit because everyone's playing tomorrow. So
so we're going to go all one fell swoop tomorrow. Hopefully you tune in noon to 3. Running